GLES Eagles.
And welcome in, everybody, to a Monday edition. After the Super Bowl 60 has wrapped up and the NFL season is officially in the rearview mirror, a Monday morning here on Barrett's 365. Johnny Mack, how you doing on this Monday morning? Post-Super Bowl, post-Seattle victory, post-Sam Darnold getting it done. How you doing this morning, J-Mac?
Doing well, yeah. That was a tough one to watch. New England, boy, there are some teams in the AFC that right off the bat, I'm like, well, they got to be ashamed of themselves. Now with Denver, I think it's pretty clear that Denver would have been in the Super Bowl, probably made it a better game. Not probably, definitely would have made it a better game, but that's just bad luck. You get Bo Nix injured when they got him injured, and you got to play Jarrett Stidham. But I look at that Houston game with C.J. Stroud. I'm like, if you just don't play the worst game in human recorded history, Houston's probably in the Super Bowl. Boy, I don't know how to explain Drake May. I hope it's the shoulder. Because he was not just he was abysmal in that game. Abysmal.
He's been bad most of the
and he's
playoff.
been bad the entire playoff entire playoff run. I hope it's the shoulder. That did not look like a Super Bowl team to me. The New England Patriots. It's kind of what I thought coming into the game. Seattle did, and they're a good team, and they had a great season. But boy, I don't know how New England made it through. I give them credit, and the defense is good. And Milton, I was glad to see Milton played really well. Had a chance to have a bunch of sacks, only got one. But he was dominating inside. Both offensive lines were just terrible in pass protection. Terrible. Which kind of, it's difficult for any quarterback when you're under duress, but it was more than that for Drake May. You kind of saw it on the other side. Sam Darnold didn't have a great game either, but when there were the opportunities to make some throws, he made the throws.
Yeah, he did.
And I was counted during the game. There's like 7 throws Drake May could have made. Guys were open. He had the time, and he missed them. He was bad. He was flat out bad. And all the advanced numbers say it. I know people love when I bring up EPA. According to EPA, he was the worst Super Bowl quarterback of the century, the entire century. And we've had some stinkers, and that was the biggest stinker. And for the box score people, they go, well, he threw for 295 yards. They had 79 total yards through 3 quarters.
Holy moly, 79 through 3. That's like an Eagles offense, John.
Well, that's the thing. Well, locally, everybody, it looks like Kevin Patullo. Well, maybe you guys should look in the mirror and say, well, you all love Josh McDaniels. What a great offensive coordinator. He can't scheme up shitty play. Nobody can scheme up shitty play. There's no such thing.
I wasn't bashing Patullo. I was just saying, reminded me of the Eagles.
No. I'm saying a lot of people, a lot of local people on social media. It's like Kevin Patullo was cloned. I'm like, they always go to the coaches. The guys played the worst game I've ever seen.
Well, McDaniel has a pretty good resume as well.
Before C.J. Stroud. Well, that's the point. He's a proven guy. You can't say that. You can say that about Patullo. You can't say that about Josh McDaniel. That's kind of my point. You can't scheme up shitty play. And the quarterback in New England was really bad. So was the offensive line. So Will Campbell was everything they brought up about him in the draft and concerns that all showed up at the biggest moment. Just constant pressure. And obviously when you get constant pressure early, it's going to affect you. But Sam Darnold got constant pressure early. Constant. They weren't much better, especially on the interior. The Seattle offensive line was brutal on the interior when Milton was just whipping people. But, he was able to sidestep and do some things and make some throws. And that's what you need when your offensive line isn't playing up to par, but you can't dismiss that the Patriots' offensive line was dismal. And the Seattle defense is very good. And have to give them a lot of credit.
Yeah, that Seattle team, they do deserve a lot of credit. I'll tell you what, though, John, I know you're going to view this maybe perhaps differently, but the Eagles had their problems this year. But man, I watched two teams last night that if the Eagles had played their brand of football or played a better version of their brand of football, they'd be right there in that game. I really believe that. I don't think those teams are that more, certainly not the Patriots, but the Seahawks.
Oh yeah, I mean the Patriots,
defense, but
I mean they're better team than the Patriots. They're better. They're flat out better. Even now, even after they're better. But Seattle, like I said, if Seattle play their A game and the Eagles play their A game, this year Seattle's winning. They're a better team.
I think so too. Yeah, Seattle's defense was good. Yeah, they good squad. What did you think of Kenneth Walker getting the MVP?
Good, he deserved it. Well, I would have voted for Witherspoon, but nobody's going to. Same as last year, nobody's going to vote for a defensive player in this era, even though obviously they dominated the game. So that's who I would have voted for because I think he had a phenomenal game. I think Gonzalez had a phenomenal game. Two great corners.
Yeah. Yep.
But I would have voted for Witherspoon. But yeah, with the way I understand that people are going to vote, I think he deserved it, Kenneth Walker. So, the default setting, you can't really default to quarterback because Sam only had 202 yards passing, so they're not going to go that direction. And no receivers.
I think he was like 50% completions too. He struggled a little bit in the game, but
yeah,
look, he did what he needed to do, man. He didn't turn the ball over.
That's the thing. It was a defensive game, and he made the plays that were there, and the other guy didn't. That's the difference.
Exactly right.
And nobody's going to go this route, but who might have been the MVP? Michael Dixon, the punter. I mean, that guy. That's the best punter in football. The kickoff, Jake Myers, the kicker, had 5 field goals, which is a Super Bowl record. So special teams were a big part of it as well. But nobody's going to vote for that. But for the way people vote, that was the right decision. And people aren't going to look at defense. They didn't look at defense last year. But Witherspoon is probably the guy that affected the game the most, in my opinion.
Yeah, Jason Myers, you're right, the kicker. He had 17 points in the game, 5 for 5 from field goals and 2 for 2 on extra points. 17 points in the Super Bowl is pretty good for a damn kicker. But all right, good stuff, everybody. Super Bowl 60 is officially wrapped, Johnny Mac. The season is done and dusted, and the Philadelphia Eagles are no longer your defending or reigning or whatever word you want to use. I know you don't like to use the word defending.
Reigning,
they are no longer whatever word you want to use. The Seahawks are now the champs.
Well, they weren't defending. Even if you want to argue defending, they got blown out on January 11th. So they haven't been defending anything. That's why they were the reigning Super Bowl champions until last night. Now it's the Seattle Seahawks, and they will be the reigning Super Bowl champions until Super Bowl 61, no matter what, no matter when they bail or get knocked out. But good team. I think there was one deserving Super Bowl team on the field last night, and they won. For years, I will try to figure out. And Mike Vrabel deserves a lot of credit, and Coach of the Year has gotten and turned that team around. They won 4 games last year. So I give him a lot of credit, but also the way he coached that game, it's like, what are you doing, dude? You got nothing going offensively, and he's going conservative. I'm like, you're on the biggest stage. Go try to win the game. Yeah, right. You're not going to win it.
Go coach to win it, man. Yeah.
Yeah. Go try to win the game. I just hate that philosophy. And it was the big Drake May fumble. Boy, he holds on to the ball a lot. Boy, I'm glad he didn't win MVP. I mean, it was so close, and Matthew Stafford deserved it. But he's not. Boy.
You're not sold yet on him.
No, not even remotely. And I hope it's, because I didn't watch a lot of regular season Patriots because I'll be honest, coming into the season, I thought they were one of the worst teams in football. as I think most people did. So I try to focus on teams that I think are going to be good. So like I said, they deserve a ton of credit. They go from 4 wins to making the Super Bowl. They have the most they have the largest win differential from one season to the next in NFL history, positive in NFL history. So, I mean, and they're good defensively. So that explains a lot of it. And they just made some plays offensively, and he's a good deep ball thrower. But as far as playing the position that I always talk about, can't play the position. Can't recognize blitzes. It's all deep shots. Even when they got things going, it was just like throwing it up for grabs to Mac Hollins of all people down the field, like one-on-ones. Yeah, he's got a long way to go. And that's, the bigger crisis in the NFL with these offenses, quarterbacks can't play the damn position. And I don't see that improving. Because these young guys are, oof.
Well, I'll tell you what, Jalen got there pretty early. That's one of Jalen's biggest feathers, man. He performs on that stage, and he did both times he was there. So good stuff there. He was at the Super Bowl, John, just to put an Eagles slant on it. I saw Jaylen Hurts was at the game. He came and got introduced with a bunch of former Super Bowl MVPs, which was pretty cool to see. So he was out there. I saw A.J. Brown making some headlines on Micah Parsons' podcast. I also saw an interesting comment from Michael Parsons about he almost got traded to Philly.
Oh, boy.
For Jalen Carter. Oh, my. That was a pretty interesting tidbit there from Micah Parsons.
Wow.
And then we continue to build out our staff, John. So we have a full week of Eagle Talk to talk about. Let's start right there with some of the headlines that came from the weekend relating to the Eagles.
Well, I'll start with the Micah one because there's a bunch of people who didn't believe me for many, many years when I told you how much the Eagles like Micah Parsons. I hope you realize it now because they weren't trading Micah Parsons for Jalen Carter. They were trading Micah Parsons. They were trading Jalen Carter, a number 1, a number 3, a day 3 for Micah Parsons. And there'd be a couple late draft, like the 3rd round pick. Maybe there would have been a 4th round pick coming back. That you're at that stage. You're trading draft position. Maybe the 5th round pick, a 6th round pick comes back. So it would have been Micah Parsons and 2 day 3 picks for Jalen Carter, a 1, a 3, and a 5. That's how much they wanted Micah Parsons. And I would have done that deal.
That. I'm not saying you're crazy. I'm saying it's crazy that the Eagles.
I don't think Howie's crazy.
I don't think he is either. I'm saying just the thought of it. I'm not saying I don't think it's a crazy idea. I mean, if they think he's that good of a player, then make the move. And Jalen Carter, look, as good as Jalen Carter is, there is some stuff there that are still big question marks. The discipline.
Well, yeah, especially. I mean, at the time they were thinking about it, there wasn't as many. I think there are more now because of the shoulder stuff. And I'm still very concerned about Jalen Carter because he was not right. In the playoffs, he had one of his worst games against San Francisco. So, yeah, he was not right. So I'm concerned from the health standpoint. They just might have, beat him up too much. And hopefully, he can get back to where he was. I think they got to manage him better. You can't just play a defensive tackle 1,000 snaps and expect him to not be worn down. And I think that affected Jalen Carter dramatically. Still a very good player. Still very young. I'm sure they'll figure out something and get surgery, and hopefully he'll be able to come back. But big concern. Now, obviously, Micah tore his ACL, so you can't control the injury part of it. But Micah Parsons is one of those very few players that the Eagles, like I said, they during this run, they pretty haughty, a lot of hubris, I say all the time. They don't worry about too many people. It was always interior. Look at themselves. It's about us. It's about us. It's one guy they knew they couldn't block. And when that happens, and if he's available, same thing with Myles Garrett, they'll go try and get him.
Man, Jalen Carter for Micah Parsons. That would have been a groundbreaking trade, John, in Philadelphia. I think it would have worked out. But I mean, so you think that would have been a good move to send Jalen Carter and a 1 for Micah?
Well, I think at the time you have to realize they didn't have Jalen Phillips, so they're trying to. They look like a disaster. I said it all coming into training camp. I cannot believe Howie Roseman will go into a season with this edge rushing room. I said it constantly, and the answer to that was he tried with Miles early, tried with Micah Parsons, wasn't able to get it done. Ultimately, got it done in season with Jalen Phillips, and I'm not going to compare Jalen Phillips to those two, but he's a good player. He knew, and yeah, I mean, it would have been fun to see Eagles fans turn and love Micah, because they would love Micah on that defense, but not to be, and he ended up in Green Bay, and hopefully he can get back healthy. Because, you never know.
We'll see. Good stuff there, Johnny Mac. Interesting comment from Micah Parsons on Jalen Carter. The other couple comments that came from the weekend that were related to the Eagle land. A.J. Brown was on with Micah Parsons as well. A lot of Micah Parsons podcast talk. You made some good job as a podcast host, Micah. You made some good headlines. So well done there. But AJ kind of pushed back. He still wants to be in Philly, but still seemed a little bit fuzzy to me. Did you happen to see what AJ Brown had to say on the podcast, John?
Yeah, I mean, it was just, he's doing his part, is how I described it. He knows if the Eagles are going to trade him, he's got to keep his value up. So he's smart enough to do that part of it. And then, boy, this is start early with my pet peeves. Has no one, and realize like game day, and yesterday was the biggest game day of the season, obviously, with Super Bowl, the largest viewing audience, all that kind of stuff. Have people not noticed, like, the pregame shows, they repackage information to the casual viewers who don't pay attention to
I know
the
that,
NFL?
but that's because I'm so engrossed in the NFL world.
So this idea that AJ, first of all, the idea that the Eagles haven't engaged in trade talks, why would they at this point of the season, at this point of the calendar? Why would they? You don't engage in trade talks. You engage in trade talks at the end of the month in Indianapolis ahead of free agency. And if, not only this year's worse than other years because of all the upheaval on the coaching staff, so the Eagles have been hyper-focused on rounding out the coaching staff. You don't talk trades this time of year. It's like it's and to Mike Garafolo's credit, because if you just see the headlines and all the aggregation, you say, well, the Eagles are not talking about now. But in the report, if you actually watched it, he gave you the context. Well, yeah, I mean, you don't talk about trades. It'll ramp up if it's going to ramp up in Indianapolis. And he said that. So I'm not blaming Mike, but that's just how things are packaged. You have the headline, and then people aggregate it. Eagles not talking about trade. Only point I'm trying to say is they're in a holding pattern. Don't get too excited by that. And I'm still about 50-50 that he might be back, but it has nothing to do with not talking about a trade at this point. You would not be talking about a trade at this point anyway. So it's not meaningful is all I'm trying to say.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Fair enough. We'll see what ends up happening with A.J. Brown. The other comment A.J. made, which was interesting to hear, was his Kevin Patullo comment. Did you happen to hear that? He said, sometimes change is not a bad thing. I had the utmost respect for Kevin Patullo. To me, he did a tremendous job, and he has a great heart. But I'm excited for the season. I'm excited for what's to come. So, it sounds like he thought Kevin was maybe scapegoated a little bit, but he also, understands that they didn't perform, and change isn't a bad thing when you don't perform.
Yeah, I mean, that's the NFL, right? I mean, if you pay attention, all the other teams, and all the shuffling of the coaching staff, very rarely do you have, occasionally you have a college guy breaking through or something like that. But usually, a tight ends coach like Jason Michael will leave here, he'll go somewhere else. And, Dave Phipp, when he was the special teams coordinator for a long time, he left here and he went to Detroit. And he's, it's like the shuffling of the chairs. I mean, the guys all remain in the league for the most part, if they want to. And you shift. So it's part of it. I mean, when you don't achieve, but I've said it pretty consistently, nobody in that building dislikes Kevin Patullo. So, and that includes AJ.
What do you think AJ Brown thinks about Nick Sirianni?
I think he likes Nick. I think he doesn't like the offense. That's all. I think it's pretty simple. I don't think it's about people. I think he doesn't like the offense, like a lot of people.
Yeah, right. Risk averse, stuff like that.
Yeah. It's not about people. I think, everybody wants gossip.
Yeah, it's true. Everybody does. Look, I'm guilty of it too. I have a propensity to just look and say, "Oh, is he mad at Jalen or Nick or whatever?" Yeah, you're right. It's part of it.
I think he doesn't like the style of offense because he's a receiver and he's a very good receiver, and he doesn't think he's contributing enough. And I think that stems from that's all this frustration. It's really been 2 years now. So that's at the point where you say, is it worth going through again? Now, again, I think because of the cap situation, I think the Eagles will try to talk him into, we're going to do things a different way. They are going to try to do things a different way with Sean Mannion. That's real. And I think they'll try to make him understand that and try to make it work. And if it scales back like it has in the past, he'll probably be unhappy again. Or hopefully, the best case scenario, they actually do change and they're successful with the change. Which in a lot of ways, I think some ways it will be perceived as successful because I think just naturally, because so many guys, I've said it, had down years last year, I think there's going to be a natural kick up. But one of the things about the Super Bowl, you see how patient Kenneth Walker runs?
Yeah, man. He's a good runner. Obviously.
And I'm not comparing him because he's not the level of talent Saquon Barkley is, but I don't see that patience from Saquon Barkley. Which is why, some of the scheme changes, some of the perceived projected scheme changes, wide zone, cutback, you're trying to find cutback lanes. That's patience. That's Le'Veon Bell. You don't have to be Le'Veon Bell, but you got to have patience in that type of scheme. So there's a lot of things. It's not just the quarterback. Everybody hypes on the quarterback, harps on the quarterback. It's not just the quarterback. I don't know if the fit is there with the running back. I don't know if the fit is there with the offensive line, even if they are healthy. And we're going to see. And a lot of people, well, they're so good, they're so good they'll adjust. And maybe they're right, but hasn't been their style for a long time now.
Yep, that's the truth. We'll see what ends up happening. The Super Bowl 60 is now officially over, and the NFL season is over, which means we are officially into the NFL offseason. Some key dates coming up to keep an eye on, everybody. February 17th is the date when teams can begin to use the franchise and transition tag. I don't anticipate the Eagles will use any of those. NFL Scouting Combine begins February 23rd, ends on March 2nd. All right, so a good little run there. And then NFL free agency opens up officially March 11th at 4 p.m. as the 2026 league year begins. All right, and then you have the draft beginning Thursday, April 23rd through Sunday, April 25th. So a pretty good off-season run here for the next couple of months. John, what's next for the Eagles in that run? I just mentioned some key dates. Eagles still filling out their staff, getting closer to what that staff will look like. Obviously coming off the heels of a crazy week last week where Jeff Stoutland announced he wouldn't be back with the team. What's next for this Eagles squad?
They got to finish up the coaching staff, still decisions to make. And then pretty quickly you get into combine mode. And like I said, that's a very, very important part where it's basically more than the combine. Forget about the stuff on the field. That's not nearly as important. It is from the health check standpoint. The health check guys go through. But the important part is it's basically a convention for executives and agents to meet and discuss and under the table set up things for free agency, which is upcoming, as you said, on March 11th. And that's where all the deals, the foundations start to get done in Indianapolis. So that's why it's so important. And that's where if they're talking about trading AJ or anybody else or talking about signing free agents, that's where it all begins, Indianapolis.
Good stuff. We'll keep an eye on that. Let's get to our 2 super chats this morning, and we got some good topics here this morning for you. Oh, do we have Jeff Kerr this morning, John?
We do. He should be popping in. Who knows? He might have had a late.
You know what? It might be freaking me, John. It might be me, brother.
Well, he hasn't checked in yet, saying no link, so maybe he's.
And that's going to be me. All right, let's get to our super chats here. Brian Garner. What's up, Garner? The Bills and Ravens have to be kicking themselves. There was never an easier path to the Super Bowl. Second year in a row where the quarterback was rattled.
Yeah, it was abysmal. And it wasn't just the Super Bowl with Drake May. He had a terrible postseason as a whole. I think he had 3 of the 10 worst games in the century playing quarterback in this postseason. That's how bad it was. And I agree with you. I mean, Denver, like I said, Denver's bad luck. Denver would have been in that game if Bo Nix could play, but he couldn't. Not that Bo Nix is great, but they would have won that game. But the team that I focus on, because I think they had a better defense than Seattle, is Houston. And if CJ Stroud just played like Sam Darnold, like mediocre, they win that game going away. And he just had it wasn't a positive performance by the young quarterbacks in this postseason. And he was just, and to the point where I'm hoping it's the shoulder, because if it's not the shoulder, boy, you know, this team's going to have a big step back next season if it's not injury related.
We will see. We will see what ends up happening with that. Here's James Carver. What's up, James? Good to see you this morning, my friend. He says, I know JP did well, but he was not the best player, in my opinion. Said then that Chubb was the better edge setter and coverage guy, but JP is a better edge set and backside protector, which he's not great than Parson. He's a pure rusher.
Well, they both could have helped the Eagles last year, but I mean, you know, you're also leaving out age, James. Bradley's probably 30. Somewhere in that range. Jalen Phillips is much younger, so that factors into it as well, especially when you're talking about the trade market and also free agency upcoming. So that's one of the reasons I'm concerned about how much money Jalen Phillips will get, because he's so young, and that's what people are willing to pay more money for. But both could have helped the Eagles. But Vic's a big Jalen Phillips fan, and, you know, Vic would rather have Jalen Phillips and everything else fits. So, you know, you gotta take Vic's word for it. And it worked. Jalen Phillips played great when he got here.
We'll see if he's back. It's going to be an interesting offseason with that. Tyler Kilgore says these playoffs actually made Hurts look better. I agree.
Yeah, I mean, they made Kevin look better too. if you sit and watch other teams, the Eagles aren't the only ones who can struggle offensively, especially against the teams like Seattle and Houston and New England. Just that was the strength of the Patriots, not their offense. Because New England had a very good defense and they carried them. It is shocking to me how quickly this has turned into a defensive league. Because I never thought we would see that. For many years, for decades, it would go back and forth. The offense would have a little advantage, but defense would come back. I thought they changed so much of the game that the defense, I always feel bad for defensive guys because they can't do anything. And here they are dominating. That's why I also have respect for defensive coaches because they figure out a way. But the way now, unfortunately, from my perspective, is that these young quarterbacks can't play the position. So they just blitz the shit out of them or make sure they pressure with simulated pressure. It's become that's part of the lack of the aesthetic nature of the game as well, because when you have ugly offense, it's generally ugly football. So the mentality of defensive coaches are, let's just throw everything at these young quarterbacks, and 9 out of 10 can't handle it at all. And I'm not talking, look, when anybody gets pressured, anybody, you saw it last year with Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl. When you've seen it with Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. Any quarterback gets pressured, it's going to affect them. Any quarterback. But you saw it late yesterday with Sam Darnold. If you're getting pressured that much, yeah, you're going to have some ugly moments. But when the throws are there, you got to make the throws. And one quarterback did last night, one quarterback didn't.
Fair enough. Here's Eduardo checking in. Member for 19 months. Mike Vrabel wasn't aggressive enough last night, was he?
Brutal.
Regarding not going for it on 4th and short. Yeah, Johnny Mack was saying that earlier.
Awful. He's coaching like it was 1965 with the worst offense on God's creation. And something's got to – you got to turn that game. You're probably going to lose the game, and it's probably going to look worse losing it because you're probably not going to convert them. I get all that. But you're on the biggest stage. You got to try to win the game. You got to try to win the game. 4th and 1. All right, Drake May. What the one thing he could do is run.
Yeah, right. Right. He did have some good runs. All right, good stuff. All right, one more super chat. Then we got Jeff Kerr. Mr. Hill, what's up, Mr. Hill? Great show. I think Schneider proved that you don't need a $50 million quarterback to win a ring. Also, Florio said yesterday the rules committee wants to axe the onside kicks and make it a 4th and 13. Your thoughts?
I don't like gimmicks. I mean, I would go back to the old rules, where I'd have regular kickoffs and regular onside kicks. But yeah, if you ask me if you have to keep the onside kick is so unlikely at this stage, you have to declare it. It's ridiculous. I guess it would be 4th and 15, not 4th and 13 from everything I've heard. But I guess I would choose 4th and 15 to make it more exciting. But I don't like gimmicks, and that's very gimmicky.
So gimmicky.
I don't like. This is the most popular sport in the country. You don't need gimmicks, but everybody loves gimmicks. It's like shooting a hole through the. At carnivals, you have they have the hockey goalie out. And he's got a clown mask off, and you got to hit the holes. It's like a gimmick.
Yeah,
you don't need a gimmick.
I kind of agree with you, John. That sounds a little funny to me. Just keep the damn onside kick. All right, good stuff there. We got Jeff Kerr in the green room. We're going to talk to Jeff Kerr. Make sure everybody goes and follows Jeff Kerr at Jeff Kerr PHL. He's set to join us here on a Monday morning. He joins us right now. Jeff, welcome to the show, my friend. How you doing on this Monday morning post Super Bowl 60?
I'm like you guys, by the way. I don't like gimmicks either.
There you
go.
I'm
not a big gimmick guy. The Christmas tree's still up. I like it. All right.
You know
what?
We
got the explanation for that. I'm good with your explanation. I respect the explanation.
I actually had a friend who was down at the Super Bowl. I hosted a Super Bowl party last night, and he goes, it's not a Christmas tree because there's really no Christmas themed ornaments on it. It's all Disney stuff.
All right, so we'll call it a Disney tree. So.
That's what he called it.
You know who's not going to Disney? Drake May. My God, that was awful.
Oh, man, was he terrible. You know, I thought he had a bad postseason just watching his games and watching his tape.
Oh, terrible postseason.
My God, he was somehow worse in the Super Bowl. I didn't think he'd get worse. And
I didn't think he could get worse, but damn it, he did it.
Yeah. I mean, that throw to Austin Hooper, that said it all. When he had Hooper wide open and he just missed him, all right, this guy is just not good. Like, I can't believe there was so much discourse and so much backlash on Thursday night when Stafford won MVP by 5 points over May. And people were just ripping the non-Drake May people. And I'm like, look, I get these guys vote.
These guys vote in the regular season.
Yeah,
those guys are looking good.
A lot of them are looking good. And I'll tell you what, Sam Monson, who voted for Justin Herbert to win MVP, is looking good too.
Yeah, Sam took a lot of shit for that. Man, people are weird, man.
You know what I don't like, John? They want you to reveal your vote, and then you do reveal it, and then they slam
they don't demand. Last year when I had a vote, they did. They just published them. They didn't even ask us. This year, they went back to, if you want to reveal it, you can. If you don't want to reveal it, you don't have to. That's how it had been for years. Now, I don't mind revealing mine.
I'm the same way.
But people, there's so many awful people on social media. They just attack and troll and try to dox. And, it's like, get a life, man.
Well, it's the clueless people too, like the super fans. And I like telling them off. I'm like, well, first off, that's not how the MVP voting works. And second off, they do change voters usually.
Well, 99% of them don't know. It's a regular season award. So the playoffs have nothing to do with it. You don't even get to watch a playoff game before the votes are in. So it's a regular season award. So the playoffs have nothing to do with it.
And they used to and they used to reveal the MVP like the second week of the postseason. So this was always a null and void comment.
Yeah. A lot of people don't realize that, number one. And he did have a good regular season. So I don't have a problem with him being second, but I'm kind of amazed at how they put together that season because he is not a good quarterback. And it's weird to say that somebody's in the second MVP voting and he's not a good quarterback, but he is not a good quarterback. I'm not saying he's a bad quarterback, but he does not know how to play the position. Obviously, he's got a ton of talent, but these things are going to.
He's really young, right, John? I mean, how much?
Yeah.
23. Yeah, he's 23.
Yeah, he's very young, and that's part of it. That's a big part. That's the biggest part of it.
Because I do think he's got a pretty good skill set. I like the way
he's got a tremendous skill set.
Good arm. So I do think he could get there. I don't disagree, though. I mean,
I go on the Chiefs radio station every week, and this is probably, I want to say week 7 or week 8. I was poised with the question, can the Bills win the AFC East because the Patriots are starting to run? And we looked through the Patriots schedule and we said no, because the Patriots don't play anybody. We were saying that in week 6.
Yeah. They did have an unbelievably easy schedule. Like by every metric, it's one of the easiest schedules of all time. And that's part of it.
I mean,
it is hard. It is hard to win that many games, no matter what in the NFL. So they deserve credit, but they did not look like a Super Bowl team. I said that going into the game. They don't look like a Super Bowl roster. They don't look like a Super Bowl team. And they certainly didn't look like a Super Bowl team.
And I think that's where the lack of hype for this game really came out. I think a lot of people knew the Patriots weren't really a Super Bowl team. I think a lot of people were like, okay, Seattle's really good. Seattle should beat this team pretty easily. I thought that. And they did.
Yeah, they did.
I don't think the Patriots were the best team in the AFC this year.
No.
To me, they're missing some pieces. I mean, I know Drake May didn't play that good, but the people around him didn't play all that good either. No. I mean, the offensive line was pretty bad. The weaponry, he doesn't really have the best weapons. I know they had a good year, but I mean, the running back from Andre
Yeah,
Stevens. You know what I mean? Like they're good.
Well, like Travion Henderson, where was he last?
Yeah, I know he didn't do much.
Well, they don't play. I think he's better than Stevenson, but
Me too.
Whatever. They don't play him enough because he's far more explosive. But I don't know. Maybe he's got some fumbling issues. I don't know why they don't, but they should. I was very disappointed. Mike Vrabel was coaching that game like it was, I said, 1965. It's like, dude, you're going to have to take chances to beat this team.
I didn't get the whole, like, he's punting when he's only down 12-0. I'm like, dude, you're still in the game.
Yeah, you got to try to win. What's the alternative? You're going to lose anyway. Go try to win.
It felt like Drake May was trying to win late. He was just throwing stuff up at that point.
Throwing shit up. It's like, ugh, boy. I mean, that's me. To the NFL as a whole, man. The defenses are overtaking the offenses. And I don't know. I
thoroughly enjoyed it.
Now, when guys start aging out in the Matthew Staffords of the world, like who's coming up? And we always say every year, and this year it was Drake May and CJ Stroud. Well, 2 years ago it was CJ Stroud. Really?
Yeah, last year was Jaden Daniels, but he was hurt and terrible this year when he did play.
These guys don't know how to play the position, and there's no time to teach them how to play the position. Unless you can fail, go to San Francisco, learn under Kyle, and turn into a Super Bowl winning quarterback. And I think Mac Jones could do that as well if they let him go, which they won't.
Yeah,
for
they're not going to do that.
For another year. I'm being a little facetious. This was a good year for me in quarterback evaluation, though, because you know how much shit I took about Matthew Stafford for years when he was in Detroit.
And Sam Darnold over the last couple of years.
Yeah, Sam. I mean, you can't win a Super. He's won 31 fucking games over the last 2 years.
31-7. With two different teams.
Yeah. Can't play, though.
Yeah. I was told last night that, you think Jalen could do better than Drake May in Super Bowl? I'm like, I don't think I know because I've seen him do it.
Jesus.
I've seen him do it.
Jalen performs in Super Bowls. There's no doubt about that. He's only got 2 of them, but man, he performed in both of them. There's no doubt.
He only has 16 incomplete passes in 2 Super Bowl games. That's pretty good.
I still think the best game I've ever seen him play in his life was the Super Bowl that he lost.
Yeah, the one he lost.
Yeah, I thought he was so good in that game.
He's the first quarterback in NFL history to throw for 300 yards, run for 70, and have over 3 touchdowns ever in a game, and he lost.
Yeah, that was he was much better in the game they lost than the game they won. It's very efficient in the game they won, but last year's Super Bowl it was the defense, man. I mean, it was 24-0. That was the great stat last night. Seattle had, I believe, 50 or 51 yards at halftime. And I said, yeah, it was 51. And I said, well, the good news is they have 28 more than the Chiefs had last year. The Eagles gave up 23 yards in the first 30 minutes of football.
You know what my favorite thing was last night when they're talking like the Seattle defense is this like the greatest, let's do the hyperbole, the greatest defense we've ever seen. I'm like, well, the Eagles existed last year, and last time I checked, like you said, they allowed the Chiefs to 23 yards at halftime. Oh, by the way, it was 40-6 at one point in that game before the Chiefs started throwing stuff up. Again, like Drake May last night.
Same thing. Drake May had 295 passing yards last night.
Yeah, who would have known?
They had 79. They had 79 yards through 3 quarters.
That's why I like to tell you morons. Passing yards is a stupid stat. It is a stupid stat. You throw for a lot of yards when you're down.
Well, the worst part is so-and-so won the Super Bowl or so-and-so lost the Super Bowl at quarterback. I always bring up Peyton Manning, and I thought it was interesting, and I bring him up now because everybody, to me, Peyton Manning is the most consistent quarterback of all time from week to week as far as performance goes, in my opinion. When he won his second Super Bowl, it was his last season, I believe.
It was.
It was his last season. He was awful. It was the worst he ever played. His neck was barely on his body. He was so beat up. He was awful. And they won the Super Bowl. And I tell people that all the time. And I'm like, then they put out all the EPA stats. So Drake May is the worst quarterback of the century when it comes to EPA in the playoffs. You know who number 2 was? Peyton Manning in 2015. Yeah.
Wasn't there talk that year like they should put Brock Osweiler?
Yes.
Yeah, in because
he was awful. He was not healthy. He missed a bunch of the season because he wasn't healthy. He was clearly at the end. He had nothing left physically. Yeah, I mean, it's like the same thing with Ben Roethlisberger won his first, one of the worst Super Bowls ever by a quarterback, but he won the game.
That's why I think so many people like to rip Cam Newton as much as he does, outside of his bizarre takes that, dude, like you had a chance, you had a golden opportunity to win the Super Bowl, and you just fell flat on your face the year you won MVP.
Here are the worst playoff runs ever in the century, not ever. Drake May
in terms of EPA.
Yeah, Drake May's number 1. Peyton Manning in 2015, number 2. Rex Grossman, 2006. That makes sense. Joe Flacco in 2008. Jared Goff in 18 with the Rams. Kerry Collins in 2000. Trent Dilfer in 2000. Obviously, they played each other. Tom Brady, 2001, but we're getting to mediocre. There were only 5 terrible, just flat out terrible postseasons. Drake May this year, Peyton Manning 2015, Rex Grossman 2006, Joe Flacco 2008. If you get to the Super Bowl, you're generally not terrible.
And that Bears team in 06, I thought actually they were a really good football team. I just thought Rex Grossman was the major Achilles heel in that.
All right, Rex couldn't play a lick. But they had Brian Urlacher. There was great defense.
And Devin Hester was just unbelievable on special teams.
Yeah.
What was Jalen's in 21 or 22?
Well, these are bad seasons, so that's
his would have been.
Jalen would be in the good.
Jalen's a really good performer in the postseason, contrary to what the, X tells you.
Does X lie about that? Well,
X lies about everything these days.
And typically, so we're talking about 25 years. We're talking about a quarter century. Typically, when you make these are only Super Bowl quarterbacks. When you make the Super Bowl, by definition, almost you can't have a terrible postseason. They're really, as I said, even though I gave you the list, there's like Brady's 8th worst. His EPA is minus 2.9. Like it's average. Like there were only 4 terrible seasons. Drake May postseasons this year. Peyton Manning, Rex Grossman, Joe Flacco.
And that context in the Brady EPA too from 2001. Played in the snow game, which there wasn't a lot of yards, a lot of touchdowns being thrown that game anyway. And then remember that was his first. Got hurt in the AFC Championship game, so that obviously affected. And in the Super Bowl, outside the second half, he wasn't that great in that game. But
well, and if you go to Patrick Mahomes, like he had terrible Super Bowls against the Eagles and the Bucs, but great postseasons as a whole. So it brings you up. Drake May was just consistently bad in the postseason. Consistently bad.
And we tried talking about it, and people just didn't want to hear it.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing in a lot of ways that they got to where they got to. Boy, I'm already predicting, New England's not making the playoffs next year.
Yeah.
Well, you got to wait till free agency in the draft and see what the roster looks like. But boy, they did it with smoke and mirrors.
And here's the other omen. I know Jalen Hurts broke the mold here, but usually when you lose your first Super Bowl, you don't go back.
It's true. Jalen's more the outlier than he is the rule there.
Jalen was the first one since Jim Kelly, and he was to go back, and he's also just the 4th quarterback to lose his first Super Bowl start and then win his second. There's some pretty good ones that lost their first and won their second.
All right, let's get it back to the Eagles, Jeff, because nobody cares about the Seahawks and Patriots in Philadelphia. I know that.
Before we go back to the Eagles, what did you guys think of the NFL season in whole?
Kind of an underwhelming season.
Well, I think. I mean, I think the product is shitty. I talk about it all the time, but it was just shitty last year. I mean, to me, locally, it's about, well, are the Eagles reaching their expectations or not? So obviously, people are disappointed. I don't think it was any different than any other year. It was just a little weirder because you had a lot of upheaval with the traditionally good teams and some new, like, who was picking New England and Seattle at the beginning of this season?
No one was.
I legitimately thought New England was one of the 5 worst teams in football.
I didn't pick them as that. Yeah, I didn't pick them as that.
Coming into the season, I'm saying.
Yeah. So coming into the year, when I worked for CBS, I had the task of picking the 5 worst. And I remember I picked the Jets. I picked the Saints. I picked the Colts. I ended up being wrong about the Colts, but they collapsed. So I'm trying to remember who else I picked. I picked 2 really bad teams. Oh, the Raiders. I think the Raiders I picked. I'll have to look it up.
Yeah, some of them, the Jets, the Raiders, they consistently. But I mean,
the Giants for the other team I picked. I always go with the Giants.
I'm not going with the Giants this year.
No, I'm not either. But this year I did because of their schedule. I remember saying like they're better than what they're going to show.
New England had the largest turnaround in NFL history from a positive standpoint.
Yeah, it did. It was like a 2021 Bengals 99 Rams turnaround in terms of preseason expectations, but they weren't as good as those teams.
No. So nobody predicted. It's a little bit of upheaval, but I think that's where we are with the NFL as a whole. The product is what the product is, and I think a lot of it stems from the way they force defenses to play, which is attack these young quarterbacks. And when you attack, it can be ugly football, as opposed to, mixing in some zone, mixing in some 8-man drops, stuff like that, which I think defensive coordinators have figured out against young players, young quarterbacks. A, you don't have to do it. And B, you're not going to be effective doing it. So just throw the kitchen sink at them. And most of these guys can't handle the kitchen sink. Yeah. So it looks ugly.
John, this Super Bowl, like in terms of the matchup, it felt like Super Bowl 16 and 81, right? The 49ers weren't supposed to go. They were 6-10 the year before. I don't think the Bengals were that great the year before either when they had Kenny Anderson. And
should be in the Hall of Fame, by the way, Kenny.
Yeah, it should be in the Hall of Fame. And at the time, like when the 49ers won, I don't think the 49ers were good the next year or two. And then they got back, and that's when their dynasty really started. But
interesting comp. It's a long time ago, that comp.
It was a long. And the Bengals, they went back 8 years later, but they had a completely different team.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see. Jeff, I got to ask you about some Eagle news this weekend, just from guys talking around. Jaylen Hurts was at the Super Bowl. Cool to see that with him being introduced with a bunch of kind of legends there. Micah Parsons, made a comment on his podcast that he was almost traded to the Eagles for Jalen Carter and picks. What's your first reaction to that?
Well, I agree with Micah that you go to the Eagles to play with Jalen Carter, not to get traded for Jalen Carter. So, but I'm not surprised at all. I mean, John and I have talked about Zander. You and I have talked about it. Eagles always want that premier edge rusher. I mean, when you hear smoke about them potentially being interested in Myles Garrett and Max Crosby, there's truth to it because that's what they want. They want that elite edge rusher. So it didn't shock me in the least. And look, I can say this. I know Micah Parsons wanted to be an Eagle. He wanted to come here. He wanted to play close to home again. And
I'm shocked to hear the name Jalen Carter, though. It's one thing to make.
I think that may have been what Dallas asked for.
Right.
I think that's what Dallas wanted because they wanted a defensive tackle.
I don't think Dallas was trading him to the Eagles.
No, I don't think they were either, but I'm sure Dallas entered.
I'm sure the Eagles tried to push Jordan Davis on them. and the Cowboys,
they weren't buying that.
the Cowboys probably said, well, we'll think about Jalen Carter. And look, Micah would have came here, if they traded Jalen Carter for him, and it would have been fine. But I don't think the Cowboys were trading him to the Eagles, which is smart. But I also think they shouldn't have traded him to the Packers either. But
yeah, I thought that was so smart. I would have traded him to an AFC team.
Yeah, I would have went. I would have went. But clearly, yeah, the Jerry was obsessed with getting better on the interior, and he got Kenny Clark, which is not even close to obviously Jalen Carter, even Jordan Davis, the way Jordan played last year. And Kenny's more aging, descending. But then he went out and used one of the picks to get Quinnen Williams, who is good, who was really good. So he was definitely focused on getting better in the interior. But yeah, I think the Eagles would have done it. I think they would have done it.
I mean, Micah Parsons I think we know what Micah Parsons is going to be.
I don't know if I would have liked that trade. I'm not saying Carter's a better player than Parsons. That's not what I'm saying. But I don't know. It feels to me like our defense is built in the interior of our D line. I mean, you want to get rid of Jalen Carter and then try and be as productive with Micah? I don't know. I mean, I get Micah's a great player, but Micah's not a perfect player. He doesn't solve everybody.
I think it comes down to who would you rather pay premium money?
Yeah, probably.
And Micah, I think you know what you're getting.
That's fair. I don't know. I guess maybe I'm falling in love with the player too early, but Carter feel I
don't think you are. Honestly,
Carter, is a good.
I think that's a tough decision, but
yeah,
Micah Parsons.
You ain't getting a player like that without giving up significant.
Yeah, no, I know.
Got to give up talent.
I'd rather give up like anybody else than Carter.
Yeah, I don't know. There's some now, and now that the season has gone by, there's more questions. Before the season, which is when this would have happened,
which it would have been even more bold then.
I think it's a more difficult discussion after the season. Like, to me, it's a no-brainer now. So I'm speaking about now.
I mean, you say that. What do you mean? Are you talking because of the injuries, because of the some of the external stuff from the player, or not external?
I'm not worried about the personality stuff because I said, generally Jalen's very. I'm not happy with it. You want to control it as much as possible, but I don't really care about the spinning incident other than you hope he matures, things like that. I'm not talking about that.
I mean, I think we all can say here Jalen Carter had an underwhelming season compared.
Yeah, he had an underwhelming season. I think it was almost all of it was related to they beat the living shit out of him the year prior, 2024 in the run in the Super Bowl. Nobody played more snaps than Jalen Carter, and he shows up the next year, day one in training camp, and he can't play because his shoulder's hurt. People forget he missed the first 5-6 days, whatever it was. And it was persistent throughout the season to the point he's getting experimental shots in his shoulders. Like, that's concerning to me.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, he was banged up all year.
And by the way, in between all of that, they kept playing him more than anybody else.
Yeah, and if it's concerning to you, imagine what Drew Rosenhaus is saying.
And I was upset they were playing, like what John said, they were playing more than anybody else. I'm like, guys, more Jomo's on this team. You can use him.
And I think moving forward, they got to be much more.
Is that on Vic? The snap counts?
Well, I went through it with Fletcher Cox. I think it. Normally it would be Clint Hurt to its responsibility to, rotate the defensive front. But, obviously if Vic wants to step in, he can say, we need Jalen Carter on the field at this point. You got to be very disciplined because the Eagles would talk for years about how much Fletcher Cox would play. And they say, we got to lighten the load on him. And then you get in the games and
you need to win.
Yeah, you need to win, and you want him out there, and it's really difficult. And obviously, you want Jalen Carter out there, and he's willing to go out there. So it is difficult, but You got to
John on that.
You got to be more disciplined.
Yeah, it's easy to say like, oh, we need to play this guy less on a Tuesday or a Wednesday, and then Sunday hits, and it's a 3-point game in the fourth quarter. And
exactly right.
You're wondering why isn't Jalen Carter on the field?
He played 11 games last year, and he had 698 defensive snaps. And so, number one, and this includes the playoffs, and I don't know if they've updated it, but Leonard Williams is 948. So think about that.
That's 63 snaps a game, John.
63 snaps a game. Who are the mathematicians? Jeff, you're the mathematician. What's 63 times 6?
378. Yeah, I was going to say around 380. So
380. So let's say 380. So you add 700. He would have been at 1,080 snaps, 140 more than the next guy.
Yeah,
that's how much they're playing him. Which is
that's Malcolm Jenkins' territory, by the way.
For a defensive lineman, which is a rotational position, where it should be. You got to get that down to 40, 45.
Yeah.
For the long-term health of the player, in my opinion.
Especially when you have Jordan Davis, Moro.
Yeah, and you have tons
Byron
of
Young. Yeah.
Yeah,
traded away Tom Booker. I wonder how much that had to do with it.
I don't think it had anything to do with it.
No,
you think they're putting Thomas Booker on the field?
I got it. Maybe it would have helped. It would have helped.
When they traded Booker and let Milton go, I'm like, their defensive tackle still their deepest position.
Yeah, Byron Young played well.
Milton Williams, man, shout out to him. He had another good game though.
Oh yeah, tremendous. Well, he's good. He's a good player.
That guy's a good player, man.
Yeah. How about that story which we already kind of knew, like Milton wanted to come back, but it wasn't happening.
Yeah, no, they didn't even give him a call. Milton seemed kind of sad about it, man. Didn't he? He seemed kind of sad.
Yeah,
it's a business.
They knew they couldn't pay him.
I mean, the most logical explanation I can give for this whole thing is that they drafted Jalen Carter in the first round. They drafted Jordan Davis in the first round, and you got to pay those guys. And they're the guys you're going to invest in. Milton Williams was the third-round pick who defied the odds.
Yeah, and they like Moro Jomo. And Milton's similar style player as Jalen Carter. So what are you going to do? I mean, it's not like he can play nose tackle.
You pay Milton and trade Carter for Micah Parsons.
I mean, that would have been nice if we would have known this in March.
I'm just kidding. Incoming all the comments. Joe, you could trade. All right. Relax.
I mean, it does make sense if you think about it. Like if it's March 12th of last year, you're probably like, okay.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but then you don't have as much value in the trade. If you're paying Milton what he's getting paid, you don't have the same value because. Part of the thing is Jalen Carter's on his rookie deal, so it makes it more palatable for Dallas in that theory of the trade. But bottom line is the Eagles, the Cowboys were not trading Micah Parsons to the Eagles. They had the best offer on the table, and they took a lesser offer.
Weaker offer.
Well, you get 2 first-round picks, so I don't know. And you turned one of them to Quinnen Williams. So I don't know if it's that much lower, but they took a lower offer.
I still say I have a bold prediction this offseason with this team already. I think Max Crosby could be an Eagle. That's my bold prediction.
Well, they'll go after an edge rusher.
Yeah, they will.
Yeah.
If they can't re-sign Jalen,
what do you think they're giving up to get a guy like? What would they have to give up to get a guy like Max Crosby?
At least 2 firsts, in my opinion.
2 firsts?
I'm not going near 2 firsts for Max Crosby.
No, dude.
I'm not either, but I think that's what the Raiders are going to want. I'm not saying that's what they're going to get.
I thought he was like 30. What is he, 28, 29?
I think he's 29.
Crosby age. He's 28. He'll be 29 in August.
And you talk about a guy who plays a lot. Max Crosby,
he
never leaves the field, and he's played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years. This will be his 8th year. I don't want any parts of Max Crosby.
It killed Max Crosby though when the Raiders basically told him you're not playing the rest of the season.
No, I'm not criticizing the player. I'm just, he's not playing as well as he did. His height was basically, 2021 to 2023, whereas, top 5.
He still gets a lot of pressures.
He does, but he's already descending. He plays so much. That's not going to turn around. There's no way I'm giving up 2 1s for that. And then I got to pay him.
What would you give up for him? Like a 2 or a 1? What would you give up?
Wait a minute. Didn't Max Crosby sign already? He signed last year.
Well, what's he make?
$36 million.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not giving up fucking number 1.
I don't know if I am either, dude. I'm
just saying that's what the Raiders would ask for. I'm not saying that's
you're right. They'll ask for at least a 1. I think they're asking for at least a 1. 2 seems insane for him.
You know what? You'll end up being. It'll be like, okay, if the Eagles do have to give a 1, it'll be a 1st and a 3rd or something, or it'll be like 2 seconds or something.
Well, now you'd have to give him a new contract because let's see. The last contract he signed was 4 years, $94 million in 2022. Then they worked out a $35.5 million. So you'd have to work out a new contract. And obviously that's going to be 30 plus million. I do not think the Eagles will be in the Max Crosby business at all. I don't even think he's a fit either for this defense. I just, give me Myles Garrett or Micah. You can't have Micah. Give me Myles Garrett or I'll take Jalen.
Well, I'm sure they'll go swinging for Myles Garrett. Yeah. They always go swinging for Myles Garrett.
He's getting older too, though. I mean, I know he's still a sick player. I'm just saying, do you think about that at all?
By the way, Myles Garrett, I had no idea his girlfriend is an Olympian.
Yeah, didn't you know that?
No, I had no idea.
Who's his girlfriend? I don't even know who his girlfriend is.
No. I forget her name. I'll look it up real quick. But she is an Olympic snowboarder.
Yep.
And
she's Wendy or something. What's that girl's name?
No, I'm looking it up right now. But she's
Kim.
Yeah, it's Kim.
Yeah, Chloe Kim. Yeah.
Chloe Kim.
I know Chloe Kim because I like snowboarding and
Chloe Kim was just on.
I didn't know that was I didn't know that was Myles Garrett's girlfriend. I know.
I was standing. I was watching the Browns stretch when they were here last year, and I happened to stand right next to her. I had no idea who she was.
You didn't know that was Chloe Kim?
No idea.
We were there.
No idea. And I'm like, Myles Garrett keeps looking at me or in my directions, this monster. And I'm like, what the freak is this guy keep looking at me? And all of a sudden,
you, John.
Well, yeah, I know. He's running right at me. I saw my life pass before my eyes. And I'm like, oh, there's his girlfriend's right next to me. But I had no idea she was an Olympian. None.
Not just an Olympian, a gold medal Olympian.
Yeah, had no idea.
She's badass, dude. I didn't realize that was Myles Garrett's girlfriend. That's pretty cool. That's probably the best player in the NFL, and Chloe Kim, an Olympic gold medalist. All right, there you go. It's super genetics coming right there.
I think she won her gold medal at 14 too. I think she won her first gold medal.
Yeah, one of the real early ones. I think I remember that correctly too. Jeff, let me ask you, what is your thoughts on the Eagles offensive coaching staff, dude? They brought in Mannion last week, Mahaffey. Jeff Stoutland is out. We haven't talked to you since.
Yeah, we haven't even gotten to him yet.
We haven't gotten to the good shit. What do you make of what's going on with the Eagles coaching staff right now and the Eagles offensive build out of their staff?
Based on how the Jeff Stoutland stuff developed, are any of us really surprised he's not here?
Yeah, I'm a little surprised. I mean, he's been here for freaking 13 years. Everybody loves him.
He survived a lot of play callers, but I mean,
he survived. What assistant coach survives 3 head coaches? Never mind all the play callers.
Yeah, I mean that just shows you how good of a coach you were. But I mean, what went down in that building last year that he just got?
Yeah,
that,
but what?
That upset.
Well, look. And I did the homework. We were talking about this last week a little bit, Zander and I. But as far as I can tell, run game coordinator didn't even exist until 2016.
When Doug became coach, I thought like that was like.
Well, Jeff didn't get it to 2018, the year after Super Bowl 52.
And that felt like a in-house promotion.
I'm saying as the league in general, it didn't even exist until 2016. And it was sort of unofficial. They started calling Greg Roman that in Baltimore, and it was sort of unofficial. And all of a sudden, they make this title, and now everybody's blown up this title. There has never been a situation in the NFL, any city, any team, anywhere, where the run game coordinator has more power over the run game than the offensive coordinator or offensive, if you have an offensive head coach. You get my point. They're at best, when you have the setup the Eagles have, they're at best third on the flow chart. So this nonsense that Jeff Stoutland was in control of the running game never existed. It doesn't work that way. It does. The offensive coordinator here, because of how they set it up, or again, if it's Sean McVay, Mike McDaniel, Miami, whatever, they're in charge of the running game. So Nick Sirianni's in charge of the running game. Kevin Patullo's ahead of Jeff Stoutland, and they wanted to make some changes. And I think from Jeff's standpoint, they didn't, give him a seat at the table, so to speak. And obviously you didn't like that, but ultimately it's the head coach's decision. I mean, and this is anywhere. And by the way, to be fair, which I know people don't like to be, to the people they don't like or perceive they don't like, they got much better with Nick's decision to change the running game. Still not good enough, but it got much better than it was when Saquon was averaging 3.4 yards per carry. And they made the move that everybody liked the move. Get under center more, give Saquon more options. They like everything except the fact that it's branded by Nick Sirianni. That's not fair.
I like to point this out. The guy's won 69% of his games. He's fifth in NFL history in win percent. He must be doing something right. You would think. Everybody judges everybody on winning until it's time to judge someone on winning.
It's not everybody. They want to believe that Stoutland did that. And the reality is he fought against that. He didn't want that to happen.
No. And he got up. I guess he got upset. I don't know. I mean, look, this is my favorite thing. Y'all want to change to this offense. You wanted this offense to go over a makeshift. Careful what you wish for sometimes, because that means coaches don't come back.
Well, Stoutland's gone. I tell you what, Sean Mannion, he better be right about Sean Mannion, right? I mean,
you're taking the swing, but that's a swing you got to take a swing.
Jeff, they're taking more than a swing, dude. They got Mannion, they got Grizzard, they got Mahaffey, they got a lot of young coaches on this offensive side of the ball that they're putting a lot of eggs in their basket. Now, I'm not saying I disagree with it. I'm just saying it's a big risk.
It's a big swing. It's a Kyle Schwarber home run swing.
Well, yeah, he's responsible. He's going to lose his job if Sean Mannion doesn't work out.
Exactly. Yeah. He that's why I think it's kind of fair to say if he is on the hot seat, because if this doesn't work, he's not going to be.
Look, if he could have handled it better politically with Jeff Stoutland, maybe that's the case. But ultimately, the part I'll push back on is the idea that Jeff should have been in charge of the run. He was never in charge of the running game. It doesn't work that way. There's no run game coordinator in the NFL that's in charge of the running game. Their job is to help develop concepts in the running game to insert into the game plan, where then, and as I pointed out last week, Zander, then it goes up the chain. And then it's Kevin Patullo's decision, and ultimately Nick Sirianni's decision, if he wants to overrule Kevin Patullo about what is actually done in the game.
I almost want to write about this. go back in my archives here because everybody likes a Rip Patullo. Fine. Who were you going to hire on February 13th last year? Just curious.
Well, everybody's better than KP, so you could have hired anybody, and most people.
Well, okay, name names. And you know what, John? I heard the most ridiculous thing this past week. I'm a fan. I don't need to do that. What?
Well,
I said because you always complain you never have an answer.
Well,
okay.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Well, I don't know. Look, I think here's my hubris coming out. I think I know more about football than most people who cover the Eagles. I do. That's my ego. But I'm smart enough. But I'm smart enough to know that I don't know jack shit compared to the coaches. Like, I don't have that kind of ego.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people, Mike Gill describes this better. A lot of people, they know they can't play in the NFL, but they think they could coach in the NFL. And I think so. I think a lot of people think that they can make decisions on who's good and who's bad. Even though, as I just explained, you don't even know the job descriptions, but you're making these grandiose.
You know what? That's a Mike Gill saying. You don't know the job description.
You're right, though, John.
Yeah, I make you grandiose declarations about coaches. I mean, I'll give Sean Mannion a chance. I haven't met the guy yet. I'll give Josh Grizzard a chance. I'll give Ryan Mahaffey a chance. I'm sure they're good coaches, but I can't tell you if they're going to be good coaches.
I thought Grizzard was a good coach last year in Tampa. I just think he was the fall guy for what happened.
Well, and that I should have used perceived to be good coaches. That will be determined by how the players play, obviously, which you kind of, I don't know how many people. But to the youth, I don't hold youth against them. These same criticisms came when the Eagles hired Serriani and Shane Steichen, and they had so much youth on that coaching staff and inexperience, and that worked out.
Mike McDonald.
Mike McDonald just won the Super Bowl. He's 36 years old.
Yeah.
37. All right,
I was in line with him at the Tower of Terror 18 months ago, and now he's in Super Bowl head coach.
Tower of Terror.
30,
That's where I saw him.
33rd youngest coach to ever win the Super Bowl. And now he's going to lose his offensive coordinator because he won the Super Bowl. And we're going to see, All
right, so over under, guys, for you guys. I want both of you to answer this. Over under. I'll just do 1.5 years to make it easy for Sean Mannion in Philly because not many have lasted longer than a year.
Well, I'm going under from the standpoint of I think Nick's going to get fired after this season if you force me into a bet. And if Nick gets fired, everybody gets fired. And that's why I don't like firing coaches because it affects a lot of people's livelihoods.
I'll go under both ways, as what John said. And two, if he does turn this offense around, he's going to be a head coach.
Yeah.
So I'll go with John.
You think he'll be a head coach that quick?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I mean, look at Kellen Moore, look at Steichen. Those two couldn't this league could not wait to get their hands on those guys.
Well, and a lot depends on how many teams. Like there were a ton of openings, so you always have to have the patient team. There's got to be a patient team, or they're a team that nobody wants to go to, like Arizona.
And we got to remember too, we had 10 openings this year. How many are we gonna have next year?
Which is crazy.
Crazy how many openings.
So I assume it's going to be less, more like normal 6, 7, maybe.
I'm pretty sure the Jets will have a head coach opening at this time next year.
Yeah, well, that's a good.
well,
that's a good one.
You can almost bet on that happening every 2 years.
I thought they were going to have it this year. I thought for sure after like 7 weeks, Aaron Glenn was one and done.
By the way, I just want to take this to spike the football because I told you Sam Darnold could play all the viewers. But number 2, my God, I think Kevin O'Connell's on the clock. There's a guy nobody thinks of because everybody loves.
On the clock.
That is the worst personnel decision. I said it during the season of the century.
The GM got fired because of that decision.
Didn't they already scapegoat someone for that?
They did, but he's going to be next, and they're not turning him around.
John, I don't think you're wrong, but let me just explain how, and I'm not as privy to the information there as you probably are. I viewed that as like they made it seem like that was all the GM's decision, and the coach didn't want to do what the GM wanted to do with the quarterback. Now, I don't know if that's true. Maybe O'Connell was on board with moving on, but that's like it came across to me like, oh, clearly the GM wanted to go a different route, and the coaching staff was pissed off about it, so they decided to fire the GM after it didn't work out.
Well, I agree that's what happened, but this from the standpoint of he had his fingerprints all over the McCarthy pick as well. Now they wanted to trade up to get Drake May. They were going to give up 2 first-round picks and a couple of other picks to try to get up and to get Drake May, who I'm not even sure that he's what people think he is, but he's a hell of a lot better.
He's better than JJ McCarthy.
Yeah.
That guy's guys, JJ McCarthy barely threw footballs in the national championship when he
was. Well, and also he's constantly hurt on top of it. It's like he can't hold up anyway. So
if I ever want to point out the whole John McMullen is right thing, anything he ever said about JJ McCarthy over the last 3 years.
Well, I got nothing.
I agree with you on it.
I just spent to Zander's point, he didn't do much in college. I mean, he wasn't asked to do much.
He literally went, hold on, I got to get the exact number. 38 minutes and 37 seconds without throwing a pass against Penn State in his team.
That's amazing.
That's unbelievable. That is unbelievable.
I literally watched that game.
So
and it was has JJ even thrown yet?
That's a guy I'm taking in the 3rd round. He's got some upside, give it a shot, whatever. But they took him with the 11th pick, whatever, the 10th pick.
10th pick. And I thought Bo Nix was better than him.
That I didn't like either of them, so I'm not going to. Obviously, Bo's much better now, but I wasn't a big Bo Nix fan. I thought both got pushed up the board, as quarterbacks tend to do. Oh, yeah. And the Vikings kind of panicked. The Vikings panicked because they didn't get Drake May. But I think the disconnect there had to do with the contingency. And the contingency, their plan was to get Daniel Jones back. And I think Kwesi screwed that up. And that's why he got scapegoated. Because they did have a solid plan. They didn't want to pay Sam Darnold what he got, which I would have. I mean, but I'm like, what are you looking for in this league? When you see guys, like, I get it. He's not Patrick Mahomes. He's not Josh Allen. He's not Justin Herbert. He's not that top group, the Joe Burrow, the 4 elite guys. He's not that
But he's in the top 10.
But, I mean, you can win with him. And it's like, do your job. If you find a quarterback.
I think that is the problem with this league in general. They're looking for the perfect. They're looking for the Mahomes.
Well, yeah, everybody wants
looking for the Allen.
Everybody wants the guy who makes up for the most amount of negatives, but that's not always possible.
I mean, look what Sam did. Sam didn't have a great game, but he didn't turn the ball over.
John, do you put Jalen Hurts in the category you just put Sam in? Like, he's not the elite, but you win with him when you build around him when you do.
Exactly.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
That is worth paying for in this league. And to Jeff's point of using that word, perfect, yes. Perfect is the enemy of good.
Correct.
Like, great. Try to find perfect, but when you're trying to find perfect, and nobody's perfect unless you're Myles Garrett, but the NFL joke. And while you're trying to find perfect, good's pretty good. Build around good. And, Jalen Hurts has won a Super Bowl. Sam Darnold's won a Super Bowl. You can do it. Build around good. Build around good. That's what I would. If I were interviewing GMs, that's what I would. Don't worry about perfect.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Also, Zander, to add to your point about the $50 million quarterback thing before I came on, Jalen's still the only $50 million quarterback to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, what's Darnold? Darnold, boy, they stole
Darnold's only 33. Darnold's on a great deal. 33 million.
Man, that's a good deal for Seattle.
Well, they're going to have to redo his deal, and he's going to have to get more, which is fine, and they'll be glad to do it because
you know what, they got 67 million in cap space. So yeah,
I don't know if I were them, I might say you signed your deal already. All right, you come back for 33.
By the way, you know, I'm sure you guys have seen it, but Sam was in the 2018 draft, so that's the Saquon Barkley draft. So it was Baker Mayfield, Saquon Barkley, Sam Darnold. That was the 3
2 and 3 have gone Super Bowls and played the huge role in getting Super Bowl.
The 7th pick was Josh Allen that year.
32 was Lamar.
32 was Lamar.
Josh Rosen was what, 10 in that draft?
Yeah. Well, Josh Rosen was 10. Yes. Sam Darnold's the first to win a Super Bowl. Of the quarter. Josh Allen,
to go.
Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, first to win a Super Bowl. Baker obviously included. First to go. First USC quarterback to ever win a Super Bowl. How crazy is that stat?
We'll put the sting on for Ravens fans right now. The Ravens defensive coordinator for a lot of those years was Mike McDonald.
Oh yeah.
I've told people this, and I've told a lot of Chiefs players this. That day they beat the Ravens in the AFC Championship game, I went to the Chiefs locker room. I was talking to a few Chiefs players. I said, "You guys know what you did, right?" They said, "Oh yeah, we're going to win a Super Bowl."
But to my original point about O'Connell, there's a guy that everybody says, "Look, they're going to try to move forward with J.J. McCarthy and bring in Kirk Cousins or Derek Carr." And it ain't going to work again, and he's going to get blown out. That's how quick it happens in this.
Not only did they let Sam go, they had Daniel Jones in the building.
Oh, they let Daniel Jones. That's what Kwesi got fired for, from not getting Daniel Jones back. And also, Aaron Rodgers wanted to play for them, which, you know, Aaron at this stage isn't Aaron, but they would have made the playoffs with
Aaron's a lot better than JJ.
Yeah.
I mean, they would have made the playoffs with Aaron.
Now Aaron might be coming back because Mike McCarthy's in Pittsburgh.
Yeah. But yeah, if you screw up the quarterback position that badly, you're going to get fired. And Kwesi's already gotten fired. Shame. I like the guy, know him, but I mean, you can't survive that kind of mismanagement at the game's most important position.
I agree.
Jeff, let me ask you, how about the elevation of our boy Dino Vasso?
Yeah, Dino got a lot of head coaching, not head coaching, defensive coordinator snips. Yeah, defensive coordinator snips. Well, that's what happens. I mean, how good was that Houston defense this year?
They were phenomenal. I mean, that was Super Bowl caliber. Yeah. I thought my pick was Seahawks Texans.
Wait, speaking of other coaches around the league, there's a couple interesting things about the Eagles' former staff that Doug Peterson was fired for. Press Taylor.
Yeah, Press Taylor got elevated.
Oh, I love that one.
To the offensive coordinator of the Chicago Bears.
That Johnson awesome. Loves Press Taylor.
Wait, the offensive genius of our time, Ben Johnson, hires Press Taylor. But Doug Peterson
he was already there, by the way. Press was already there.
But I just think it's funny. Like, Press Taylor is the reason Doug was fired.
Yeah. And wait, and you know the other one that Doug wanted? You know who it is, right, Jeff? Defensive side?
Oh, yeah.
Matt Burke, the defensive coordinator of the Houston Texans.
That's right. I was thinking about that. I'm like, wait a minute, where's Matt Burke at now? That's a good pull, Zander. That's a really good pull.
Matt Burke and Press Taylor.
Well, it was Corey Unlin too. It was
yeah, that's right. Unlin's still in Detroit, right?
Yeah, but no, I forget.
He leave.
He got a head coaching head coach. Why do I keep saying head coach? He got a defensive coordinator sniff. He might be still in it for the teams looking for defensive coordinator. But yeah,
you know where Corey Allen's at? I should know this. The Texans.
Yeah, Texans getting a lot of
love. Knows how to hire people.
A lot of love. But yeah, I mean, well, the Press Taylor stuff always killed me because that tells you how quickly things turn in this league. Because the Eagles really propped him up as a rising star in the coaching ranks. and then he became a scapegoat here. And that's how quickly it happens. And he was not even a Doug guy. He got here with Chip. He was another guy who got here with Chip, and they kept him because they loved him. And then Doug took a liking to him, and then Doug gets shit for liking him. It's crazy how this league works.
So Corey is actually, it looks like the Browns are going to contact the Texans to interview him for defensive coordinator.
And by the way, Press Taylor found the Philly special. The Philly special.
Did you guys watch the documentary on Friday? That was good.
What was it?
I didn't. It was on ESPN. I got that trailer. I should have watched it in advance. And I still haven't watched it. I'll watch it. But
it was very good. It
did they mention Press? Did they mention Press?
Yep, they did.
What was it on? Was it on the Philly special?
Yeah, so it was pretty much like the 17 season, but they kind of did more of the Foles part of the season. But
wait, what network, Jeff? I'll watch it.
It was on ESPN. It was 30 for 30.
Yeah, 30 for 30. ESPN.
Yeah, but it was really cool. Like the director's a big Eagles fan. They had, so basically it was Foles, Trey Burton, Doug, Kelsey, someone else. I think Lane was in it. I'm trying to remember now. I got to rewatch it, but they did a really good explanation of like how the play came to be, what.
Well, I'm glad they gave Press credit. They gave him credit.
Yeah, but it was funny, like, because Burton and Foles are laughing. They're like, yeah, we were going to use this the NFC Championship game, and we didn't have to.
Yeah, that turned into a blowout quick.
Yeah, they did.
Well, I knew Burton, and I actually mentioned this Burton on X, and I said, Trey, before we even get into this, wasn't that your first touchdown pass since, like, high school? He's like, yeah, ninth grade.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
All right, Jeff, last question.
And he mentioned in the documentary, so.
All right, last question for me, Jeff, on the Eagles' evolving coaching staff right now and the storyline of their 2026 season. Are Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni both on the hot seat together?
Ooh.
Is just Nick Sirianni? Is it just Jalen? Is it one or the other?
I think in a way, yes, but I don't want to go that route because, I mean, if you get a new head coach, he'll probably want his own quarterback. You would think. But Nick didn't do that. Well, I guess he did, right?
He did, but he didn't want to. It wasn't. I remember the Eagles wanted Wentz to stay by how I would.
I feel like with Jalen's credentials, I feel like he gets more of a leeway than Nick does, don't you think? You know, but Nick's credentials, Nick should get a leeway too.
I think he gets more leeway because it's easier to find a new coach than it is easier to find a new quarterback.
I agree with
much
John
easier.
There. Yeah,
to find.
Yeah, I mean, who are you getting that's better than
find
Jalen?
A new quarterback? I got a sneaking one. Is John Snyder catching up to Howie Roseman?
Yes. You know, I got a fun John Snyder fact. He is the first GM to win a Super Bowl, 2 Super Bowls, with no one on the roster of the previous Super Bowl winner he's had.
Yeah, he's getting up there, man. He's done
like
a
that's
good job.
2 in 12 years. That's, I mean, look, what Howie did is impressive too, but
and he was a yard away from the third. He was a yard away from a third.
Yep.
That's true.
I mean,
as everybody was.
By the way, if Seattle wins that Super Bowl, how do we look at Russ's career? Like, people would say he's a Hall of Famer, right? No doubt.
Probably.
Yeah.
Russ, did you hear them talking about that on the panel last night? Jason Garrett taking the shot. I thought Kyle Shanahan's answer was. By the way, I thought Kyle Shanahan was freaking.
Kyle Shanahan was brilliant. I love when Kyle
I'm
Shanahan.
talking about the coverage yesterday. I thought he was great on the NBC broadcast.
I love what he said. Like, I know you guys want coach speak on how to beat this team, but the last 2 times I played him, I had scored a touchdown.
Yeah. No, but they brought up that play on the goal line, and I'm like, of course, Jason Garrett takes the opportunity to like run the ball. You gotta run the ball. I'm like, Jason,
come on, Jason.
Kyle Shanahan's like, well, if you actually watch the defense that they were in, it was the right move for them to pass the ball there. They didn't execute it properly. I think it was the right play call. I'm like, thank you, Kyle.
Yeah, thank you, Kyle.
Kyle was good, man. John, I don't know if you heard it.
Kyle was
a little bit.
Kyle's got a future in
man.
this.
Like
Kyle was good on there.
I was at that Super Bowl, the most exciting Super Bowl I think of all time, because obviously it ended the way it ended with the Malcolm Butler play. And Pete Carroll took a lot of
right. That's Super Bowl in Glendale.
Yeah, that was an Arizona Super Bowl. So Pete Carroll took a lot of crap. First of all, Pete Carroll wasn't the offensive coordinator. Pete Carroll's the defensive-minded head coach. Darrell Bevel was the offensive coordinator. But it was the proper call. It was a great play. It was a great play. Sometimes you got to tip your hat to the other team.
I was thinking I remember back then I was kind of thinking terms like how Shanahan was thinking okay, well, if you do have Marshawn on the field, then you got to have one of your receivers block. I was thinking that back then.
Plus, they weren't effective running the ball. The assumption that, but they have Marshawn, so everybody.
Yeah, but you have Marshawn.
Yeah.
It's a shame the tush push wasn't really a thing back then.
It's not a shame. Thank God it wasn't a thing.
Yeah, Kyle was good though. I thought. All right, Jeff.
I'm with you, John, on the most exciting Super Bowls. I think that one was it. Tom Brady was down 10-4. Patriots down. You had that crazy catch to even lead to that moment. And then
that place was buzzing, man. That was exciting.
And that was the Patriots' first title in 10 years too.
Yeah, was it? Yeah.
Yeah, because remember that they had two different dynasties.
They had a big, big lull in between. Always good.
That was a star-powered Super Bowl. I mean, you had the team that won going for the repeat. You had the Patriots of Brady and Belichick. I do agree with a lot of people like this year. You didn't really have the quote-unquote star power.
Yeah, I don't know. The Super Bowl is always the Super Bowl. I learned from Pittsburgh, Seattle. That to me was the one that year. I was like, boy, this has got no juice and nobody cares and everybody cared. Super Bowl's the Super Bowl. It sells itself. Yeah. You don't need the main eventers. It's like WrestleMania.
It was weird that year
WrestleMania sells itself. It doesn't matter who's main event.
It's a massive
the brand has become.
But it was weird that year too, because Bettis' story was like Darnold's story, like the whole comeback. But you already kind of knew Darnold could do it just based on how he was playing in the postseason. He wasn't turning the ball over. But Bettis, it's wouldn't it be cool to see him play his final game in Detroit? Okay, well, he played his final game in Detroit. Now he's just got to finish it.
All right, Jeff, good show today, brother. Appreciate you joining in. As always good talking to you. Make sure everybody goes and follows Jeff at Jeff Kerr PHL.
Spring training. When the pitchers report.
Oh, yeah.
That'd be Wednesday. Catches. That'd be Wednesday. Some are already down there.
Right into it. Are you going down there?
I will be down there in March. I'll be down there for a week.
There you go. All right, Jeff. Good show, brother. I'll talk to you next week. All right, man.
Yep, sounds great, guys. Thanks.
All right, thanks, bud. Jeff Kerr joining us right here on Birds 365. Great show there. Appreciate Jeff Kerr joining us in here on a Monday after the Super Bowl. All right, good Super Bowl Sunday yesterday. John, where I agree with you, too, on the Super Bowl, and we talked about this a little bit last week, where I felt like the hype around everything wasn't big, but it's kind of serves it's almost become like a holiday, where the general population is going to gather regardless of who's in the game or what the main. It's like Christmas, whether you like Christmas or not doesn't matter. Everybody's celebrating Christmas. That's the Super Bowl nowadays. Everybody's going to their aunts or their uncles or their families or their friends or whatever, to watch the game. It's a big event now.
Yeah. Here, obviously, it's more exciting when the Eagles are involved. So locally, it's not. But I think nationally, it doesn't.
Yeah, but even still, I think people here all watch the game somewhere, or
sure. But there's not quite as much, obviously, excitement. But that's natural in every city if your team's not involved. But the event itself it doesn't matter who's in it. People are going to watch it. It doesn't matter. It has reached that level where it's the biggest sporting event in this country, and number 2 is not close.
No doubt about it. Good stuff there. Super Bowl officially wrapped, which means the 2025 season is in the rear view and the 2026 season is right around the corner. We will start to look there. We got some super chats that we will get to this morning. I want to thank everybody for being here. Don't forget to hit that like button as well. And I want to remind everybody, actually, something I haven't said on the air yet. For those who like shorter version clips of the show, because we do everything is long form here on JAKIB, we do have a JAKIB Sports Clips channel right now that's doing pretty well. So if you like shorter 10-minute segments of the show of me and Johnny Mac and Sills going back and forth on some specific topics, go check out the JAKIB Sports Clips channel. We appreciate you guys subscribing to all of the content here that we put out. Let's go to some super chats today. Here's Iqbal. I think I said that right. Sorry if I butchered it, brother. He says, put Mahomes in the Eagles offense. How many points did they score? And he never had a 1,000-yard rusher in his career.
Yeah, I don't understand why people try to. No offense, I mean, look, it's different situations in the NFL. You don't just put a player into a situation. If the Eagles had Patrick Mahomes, they would play a different style of offense. If the Kansas City Chiefs had Jaylen Hurts, they would play a different style of offense. I would say it all the time. You know, why would you ask Jalen Hurts to play in Brock Purdy's offense, vice versa? Why would you ask Brock Purdy to play in Jalen Hurts' offense? Goal is to build around what you have. Nobody's built around what they have better than the Eagles over the past 5 years. The one potential exception to that is the Chiefs. So they're both really good. Patrick Mahomes is a first ballot Hall of Famer. He's in the Elite Four.
He's the ultimate equalizer. I mean, that's.
But, you know, he's not perfect either, as you saw this year. He can't do it by himself. But, yeah, obviously he's – and the Eagles – you guys overrate the Eagles' offense coming off of this year. You do. I'm sorry.
From a talent standpoint?
Everybody had a down fucking year. Everybody.
So was it a down year, or are they not as good as we think?
Well, I don't know if Landon Dickerson is going to return to health.
I don't think he's going to. I'm not going to lie.
I don't know if Cam Jurgens is going to ever be to what he was pre-back surgery. I don't know if Lane Johnson at his age is going to be able to respond and still play at a Hall of Fame level. I don't know what the heck Saquon Barkley's going to look in this offense. I don't know if AJ is going to be here. I don't think Dallas is going to be here. So, I mean, to be determined. But last year, with hindsight, every single player, in my opinion, on that offense, with the exception of potentially Devontae Smith, who just maintained, I won't say got better, but I don't think he got worse, and Tyler Steen, who was new, including Dallas Goedert, because I know everybody, well, he also had his worst year by far as a blocker in this league. And that was the more important part because the Eagles are so run dependent on how they were trying to play, and their running game as a whole went in the shitter from from 2024 when they had the sixth best running game in NFL history. So last year, Patrick Mahomes, obviously probably a little bit better with that offense, but not much. If everything went the same way from everybody taking a downturn.
Good stuff, Iqbal. Appreciate the super chat, brother. Here's Anthony Hunt. What's up, Anthony? Is there any way Howie can get Stoutland back in the building? I think that ship has sailed, but we'll see.
Yeah, that ship has sailed. That ship has sailed, and it is over the horizon. Can't even see it anymore.
Can't even see it. Here's James Carver. What's up, James? Thank you, brother, for the super chats. As always, good to see you, my friend. Max, like Parsons, is not worth anything close to the prices. Elite defensive tackles, threes and shades and nose tackles, are far more rare to find versus elite edges. There's a couple every few years, and DTs are like one every 4 to 5 at best. Just look across the league.
James, I love you, buddy, but Micah got here. I think you'd be singing a different tune.
So you think making the move of Jalen Carter and a 1 for Micah would be a good move?
Yeah.
I'm a little torn. I understand the move. I'm not saying I don't. I think some people will act like they don't understand it. I understand it certainly, but
yeah. And, the league values edge rushers more.
Am I wrong, John, to have the belief that a lot of Vic Fangio's defense is built on the interior of the D-line? Or is that just circumstantial because of what he has right now?
I think Vic's defense is about, if you want to boil it down, it's about variable fronts, 4 or 5 man, 6-man fronts.
Right.
It's about diagnosing coverages, about disguising coverages to post snap, spinning off post snap. I think he makes do with what he has up front. So no, I don't think it's built on anything other than his philosophy of disguising coverage, number one, and the ability to be multiple on the front. So you can play 4-man, you can play 5-man, you can play 6-man if you have to. So that to me is the framework of his defense. And obviously the better players you get, the better it performs.
Right.
But I think those are I don't think he builds it around certain positions. Even linebacker, people say, well, he values linebacker. Well, yeah, he does more than has been in the past, certainly here. But, if he didn't have linebackers with the talent he has, he would make do in a different way. I mean, that's part of the brilliance of Vic Fangio. I think the whole point of it is that he can build a successful defense pretty much no matter what you give him. Now, there's a certain level of you need a baseline of talent, but as you've seen throughout his career, he's had different styles of stars. Depending in San Francisco, it was linebackers. In Chicago, it was Khalil Mack, the edge rusher. He's very malleable, which is a good thing.
James, thanks for the super chat, brother. Appreciate it. Vulnerable Vitality. What's up, Vitality? Good to see you, brother. He says teams with the second string QB from Mizzou are now 4-0. Who's the backup there? Is it Drew Lock? I think he's a Mizzou guy, Drew Lock, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's got to be Drew Lock. He's the only Mizzou quarterback I can think of in the league right now.
There's another one, I think. Boy, I can't think of his name.
I think it's Drew. And I think Drew's in Seattle.
Yeah, he's the backup in Seattle.
Is he? Yeah. He's talking about Drew Lock.
There's another Missouri quarterback. He was a backup. Oh, it's driving me crazy.
Let me see if I can find it for you. Missouri QBs in the NFL right now. Brady Cook?
Yes, Brady Cook.
There you go.
I even said it. I said, anybody, I said it in the media house. Anybody can tell me where Brady Cook went to school. I'd give him $1. Nobody could get it. Nobody got it. And I couldn't even remember his name.
Vulnerable Vitality would have got it. He loves Missouri.
Yeah, but I knew he's from Mizzou. Drew Lock's a pretty good backup quarterback. That's backup. He beat the Eagles in that famous Jalen Hurts, AJ Brown going rogue game.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Versus the Seahawks. Yeah, that's right. That was a good one. Good game by Drew Lock, actually. All right, good stuff there, Vitality. Thank you, brother, for the super chat. Here is Carver again. James, thank you, brother. He says, what QB could have done better, honestly, with the left guard and especially left tackle that was so late? The double hands and feet lined up like he was a guard as he waited on heels to have the right edge decide what move he was going to use.
Talking about Drake, I assume. Look, I mean, the offensive line did him no favors, but I think you saw the other. I mean,
he missed throws too, yeah.
To your point on, look at what Milton did inside, to your point on your previous point on the interior players. There's nothing that affects quarterbacks more than immediate pressure up the middle. And Darnold was able to sidestep it most of the time and make throws that were there. There were 7 or 8 throws that Drake May had an opportunity to make a play, and he missed the throws. It was that by no means am I defending that offensive line because they were terrible. But look, when you have your opportunities to make throws, you have to make the throws. Sam did, Drake didn't in that game. Sam missed a couple. He had that deep shot, but he was under immense pressure.
That was, yeah.
But, he should have laid it up. He should have put more air under it, and that's probably a touchdown. So he missed some too. But Drake May, until the fourth quarter, he missed everything. Everything. And that's not acceptable.
Yeah, Drake really struggled out there, and I'm a Drake May fan. Here's Penn. What's up, Penn? If Mannion turns Jalen and the offense around to a Super Bowl, what are the chances they will push Nick out of the building and promote him to head coach? Two-time Super Bowl head coach.
Zero.
Two-time Super Bowl head coach John's getting booted out for the 34-year-old Sean Mannion. Can you believe it?
I can believe it, but 0% chance.
I agree with you. It's 0, but don't you agree that they have made it seem like they're not fans of Nick Serriani? Once again, they don't think Nick Sirianni's the reason for the success.
No, because I don't think the Eagles. I say it all the time. They're very ordinary when it comes to coach. They're like everybody else. This happens everywhere. This is what happens, especially now as things have gotten sped up. Microwave society, yada yada yada. Nobody has any patience. Eagles are no different. If he wins, same thing happened after 2020. He was this close to being fired. And then if you win again, you're back on solid grounds for a short period. And if this season, it's either win again or go home. I'm not saying you have to win the Super Bowl, but he's got to, make a deep run, get out of the first round, maybe divisional round, certainly championship game. Obviously, if you win the Super Bowl, you're fine. A better question might be if they make it to the NFC Championship game and lose, and somebody wants to hire Sean Mannion, do you move forward with Sean Mannion to keep him instead of Nick Sirianni? I'd put that at like 15%, very, very small. But, people in the building, if not people in the building, which really means one, Jeffrey thinks, hey, this is the guy who's really the reason. Maybe, but I doubt it.
Fair enough. Good stuff there, Penn. All right, John, as we now wrap the 25, NFL season is officially in the rearview mirror. All right, we now move into the full offseason mode. We've been in offseason mode for quite a bit, all right, in Eagle Land, because they lost in round 1 of the playoffs. But we now move fully into offseason mode where the NFL season is officially behind us. The Seahawks have been crowned Super Bowl champions. Well done by Mike McDonald and Sam Darnold and that group. That defense is amazing. Kenneth Walker is a great player. So congrats to those guys. Good win for that team, for that organization. And now the Eagles gear up, John, to try and go back or try and get back to prominence. This year they lost in round 1 of the playoffs, and a lot of question marks, John, as we enter the full swing offseason here for this Eagles team with all the changes they've had so far and all the changes that are still yet to come.
Yeah, still got to batten down the coaching staff. That's priority
first
number
order
1.
of business, right? Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, well.
And then Combine later this month starts, and that's where all the groundwork, as I said, is done for free agency and all that kind of stuff. And that's when you'll really get a better feel of where AJ and the relationship with the Eagles is, and if they're really going to try to move on, or if it's going to be more of a convince them Sean Mannion is the guy to turn this passing offense around. And, maybe they have to live with it for one more year. I've always thought, from a cap standpoint, it makes sense for the Eagles to keep them one more year. But that's number one. You have to, Lane Johnson, I think, is going to be back, but you have to have clarity on that. Landon Dickerson, I think, is going to play, but you have to have clarity on that. I'm sure they will by the March 11th. So all the personnel will start gearing up. N'Kobe Dean, Reed Blankenship, Dallas Goedert, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yep. We'll see what ends up happening here with all the stuff to unfold in the offseason. John, what specifically is left to fill out in the coaching staff?
Well, you have to decide if you're going to bring in new people at running back and tight ends. Tight end, Mahaffey, running back, right? Running back and wide receiver. You have to. Is Jamal Singleton going to be back? Is Aaron Moorhead going to be back? So they still have to make those decisions. Couple things. They lost Tyler Yelk, so some lower support stuff. He's going to Nebraska on the defensive side. Obviously, Joe Casper already got elevated, but you still have some changes to make, and that'll get buttoned down, but they're getting closer and closer. The longer it goes, you would think, and that was the word we got, there'd be a mix of new and old, so I think that probably bodes well for Jamal Singleton and Aaron Moorhead, but we'll see how it shakes out.
Yeah, we'll see what they end up doing. John, good show today. Appreciate Jeff Kerr joining in. Super Bowl 60 is wrapped. It's a nice Super Bowl name. 60, 59 is 60 is dope. Just the round number.
LX. Well, CJ got a lot of hype for LIX.
Because of the stupid sweatshirt he wore at the parade.
In the untoward way. Yeah, so depends how you look at it.
They weren't happy about that, the Eagles, were they?
I don't think the Eagles are ever happy about anything CJ did, but
no, they weren't.
Except win. Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. That's true. All right, John, I got to ask you this to close up the show today. Are you a halftime show consumer? I see that this is a controversial topic. They've been debating it in the chat for the first time.
Oh, my God. Who cares? I'm a who cares. I know more about Bad Bunny because I'm a wrestling guy. He's already, he's wrestled.
Has he done the WWE stuff too?
Oh, yeah.
So he's like that. Boy, I tell you what, WWE, they get everybody.
Yeah, he check out. He actually wrestled. He was good too.
Was he?
Oh, he's real good.
Check it out. Who was pretty damn good, you said.
Well, Logan Paul's.
Oh no, Logan Paul's actually good.
Logan Paul's turned into an actual right. He's actually really good at it. Jelly Roll didn't do bad, shockingly.
Wow.
But I mean, Bad Bunny was really good. I mean, really good. And they did his match in Puerto Rico, where he's from, and you go to YouTube and search his entrance because it is unbelievable. It's one of those moments that. So I know more about him than most people. He's one of the biggest stars in the world, but it's weird for this country because, he's not singing in English. So I'm like, to me, I don't care. Prince had the best halftime show ever. Nobody will ever top it, in my estimation, at least to this point. I don't care. I don't care. You guys could argue with me.
I don't really care either, John. I'm not going to lie to you.
I don't care. Other than I don't understand. I took two and a half years of Spanish, and I didn't retain much of it. So I don't understand what's going on, but I like him because he was in wrestling, so I have no problem with it.
There you go. Good answer, John. I'm with you. I don't really care one way or the other, to be honest with you. I thought it was funny, but good stuff. All right, John, your final thought here on a Monday edition of Birds 365.
It's finally over. Super Bowl 60. The Eagles are no longer Super Bowl champions. So it happened. It was a good run. It was a one-year run. Same thing. The Seahawks will not be defending, but they will be the reigning champions when things kick off. And they will open the season on Thursday night. The question is against who? But a good team. I thought Seattle, if you look at it, they were a dominant team this year. They were a legit dominant. They lost 3 games, and I think their biggest loss was by 4 points. They were in every single game. Unbelievably dominant defense, solid offense, worthy Super Bowl champions. The Patriots, Godspeed. I don't know how you got there, but you did it. But that was a road apple to the Seahawks last night.
John, good show today, brother. Appreciate you doing it. As always, we will talk to you on a Tuesday edition of Birds 365, my friend. Good show as always, John. Thank you, man.
All right, thanks all.
All right, thanks, Jim Mac. There's Johnny Mac, John McMullen joining us right here on Birds 365. Good show today. Hope everybody enjoyed Super Bowl 60 yesterday. Thanks to John for joining. Make sure you guys follow him at JF McMullen. Thanks to Jeff Kerr for joining a little earlier in the program. Make sure you follow him at Jeff Kerr PHL. Go and follow me as well at Zander Krause. I appreciate all you guys being here. We'll talk about some Super Bowl. We'll talk about some Eagles off-season. And we'll talk about a little bit of Bugs Bunny or Bad Bunny or Big Bunny. I'm just kidding. I didn't mind him. I don't really care. I didn't think it was all that good, but I don't know. I'm not a good gauge. Like I don't. All I know is I looked at the TV, and it just looked like a guy talking Spanish to me. That's it. It didn't even seem like he was singing at certain times. Flex, I appreciate you liked him. I don't have a problem. I don't really care. It doesn't bother me either way. To me, it was like he was like talking Spanish to me, which is fine. But it didn't really sound like he was singing the whole time. Like the one clip, I forget. I was working. I had a great Super Bowl, by the way. Me and my fiance was fire. She made amazing food. She's so good. I feel so fat today. I mean, if I told you guys, I feel so fat today. I ate food all freaking day. But I'm working on my computer, getting some shit done for the week. And, I'm, Bad Bunny's on the screen. And I look up and I'm like, is he singing, or he was just kind of like talking Spanish and he's got the Mexican stuff around him? So, no, I thought it was fine though. I didn't really care either way, to be honest with you. I didn't really care either way, but I didn't think it was all that great either. I mean, I certainly wasn't like, whoa, run that replay back. Let me make sure I watch Bad Bunny again, or Bugs Bunny, or Big Billy, or whatever the fuck the guy's name is. One second. Also, anybody in Jersey right now? The wind. I don't know if it's just where I was. The wind in Jersey. Holy shit. Puerto Rican stuff. Whatever. Dude, whatever, bro. I don't know. No, I know. Z hates. No, I actually love Puerto Rican culture. I'm not Puerto Rican, obviously. I'm a white guy. But when I was younger, I used to work at a restaurant. I was a bar back and a bartender. And I was younger. I was like in what was I? High school, early college. And my best friends at the restaurant were always the Puerto Rican. They were the chefs in the kitchen. So my deal with the Puerto Rican chefs was this. One, they always watched baseball on their phones. They love baseball. At least the ones I worked with did. I would bring them Red Bulls from Wawa. So I'd show up or get them Red Bulls as a bar back. You have access to the Red Bull in the restaurant, or get them Red Bulls from the back. And I didn't like to take them from the restaurant because the GM would get mad, or the manager would get mad at us. So I'd bring them in Red Bulls from the Wawa. So I'd bring them in Red Bulls probably a couple, two, 3 times a week. And whenever I wanted food at work, they always hooked me up with a plate of food. So you got to know your way around, folks. That's like a little game for you. All right. If you work somewhere, you got to figure out the right people to make relationships with. When you're working in a restaurant, you know who you want to be friends with? You want to be friends with the chefs. All right. You want to be friends with the people preparing the food. So that's my history with Puerto Rican culture. But Bryce, also this, I got a haircut on Friday. And I was talking to my barber. He's a Puerto Rican. It's a small little barbershop. There's 3 of them, and they're all Puerto Ricans. I love them. They're fucking hilarious, dude. And we were watching a car video. The guy redid a Bugatti. It was sick. But I was in there talking to them about because they were like, "You watching Bad Bunny?" I'm like, "Bro, I'm a white guy. I don't fucking know Bad Bunny." They're like, "Come on, Poppy." I'm cracking up. They were all fucking fired up about Bad Bunny. All right, so they enjoyed it. I was happy because I knew my barber enjoyed it. All right. My barber and his buddies enjoyed it. So those people loved Bad Bunny, I'm sure. I don't care. I don't care enough. I really don't care about it enough. All right. I need to call my brother-in-law. He probably loved it. I don't know what you mean by that. I guess your sister's married to a Puerto Rican poppy. I saw it. Right. I did see that. What the fuck was that? Was that like I guess part of the show? That wasn't like a real thing, was it? This is true. If you call Puerto Rican, that's true. That is very true. That is very true. Hey, T-Time, I'll tell you what. That was pretty cool for Hurts, man, to be up there with some of those guys that got announced. I mean, that's no joke. That's pretty sick, dude. Oh, Preston, you're in South Jersey right now? Oh, it's crazy, dude. Thought my vet was gonna blow away. I'll tell you what, though, there's a lot of people who criticize. Yeah, the jackets were sick, Flex. There's a lot of people, and I believe me, I don't act like I'm not a part of it. Sometimes I'll criticize Jalen Hurts, and sometimes perhaps I'm too hard on Jalen Hurts. But it's pretty remarkable to think about what the man has accomplished. And when he's up there with guys who've accomplished so much, and I know understand there's haters, and I'm sure there's still haters in here right now. All right. And I don't think he's perfect. I'm not a Jalen fanboy, But I mean, you think about his journey as a player and what he's overcome, and then now where he's positioned himself as an NFL quarterback. I mean, Super Bowl winner, Super Bowl champion, Super Bowl MVP. He's an all-pro player. He's a multi-time Pro Bowl player. He's a top contract guy. I mean, this is a guy that's not only reached the pinnacle of his profession, but has also reached the pinnacle of the sport and is now amongst the greats in the history of the sport. I mean, that's pretty remarkable. And that's worthy of credit. Whether you like Jalen Hurts or you don't like Jalen Hurts, I don't give a shit. This is not about that. The objective fact is it's pretty amazing to see the accomplishments of Jalen and what they've catapulted him to be a part of. And what it's catapulted him to be a part of. Jalen walking out with some fucking NFL greats. Jalen being as accomplished as he's been in his career. I mean, a lot of talk about Drake May. You're going to see it all over the internet. I like Drake May. I think Drake May's got a great future. I really do. He struggled on the Super Bowl stage. Jalen Hurts in the Super Bowl, didn't matter. 22, 24, 25, doesn't matter. Jalen Hurts delivered the goods on the Super Bowl stage. It's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool accomplishment. And I do think, as much as when you have a down season and you try and look at all the problems with the team or what you have to fix, and hey, that doesn't excuse Jalen from some of the problems that the team has had. I'm not saying that at all. But it's pretty amazing to look at kind of the full picture and just be like, damn, it's pretty impressive, pretty impressive what he's done, what he's been a part of, what he's accomplished as a player, what the team has accomplished as a team, even what Nick has accomplished as a coach. So I thought that was pretty cool. So shout out to Jalen, and I thought that was pretty cool to see him out there at the Super Bowl, for the Birds, because we're not in the game. We're not in the damn game. So the team's not in the damn game. So it's cool to see Jalen out there. I mean, he fucking walked out with, Joe Montana, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Jerry Rudd. I mean, he walked out with some of the greatest names in the history of football. I'm like, this is a fucking cool moment. This is a cool moment. This is a cool moment. Prince, I don't disagree, man. I'm not saying it's the end. I'm not saying it's the end. Or all right, you've accomplished it. But it was I do think sometimes when you have the downs, it's easy to get stuck there. It was cool to see. I thought that's all. I thought it was cool to see. I did think it was cool to see. So, all right, guys, what else did you guys take away from the game? Bad Bunny. We talked about Bad Bunny. I know my boy Fred. It's funny. I wasn't on social media at all. I've been getting off social media on the weekends. Been grinding, working on some back end stuff without going on social media at all. It's actually a glorious thing. It's actually a very glorious thing. But the second I loaded up social media last night, which I haven't really done, I did see my boy Fredo. I know Zander Krause enjoyed the Bad Bunny show, which was pretty funny because earlier in the year, you guys remember when I was trolling about Bad Bunny. I don't know a single Bad Bunny song. My barber won't be happy with me. All right. Wasn't that? Yeah. What? I didn't think it was that great of a game at all. No, it wasn't. It wasn't that great of a game at all. He was the only one with sunglasses on. Kind of a dick move. Catch, I didn't even realize that, but that's Jalen-esque, isn't it? He loves style and fashion and all that stuff. We got to get Z. Flex, I know my way around, all right? Let's just say I know my way around. You know, Flex, I'm the kind of guy that I kind of mind my own business, but let me just say, sometimes, or at least a time in my past, my business has led me into an environment like this, but I put the blinders on, Flex. I get in. I handle what I got to handle. I focus on who I got to focus on. I block out the noise, and I keep rolling. All right? I won't say – thank you, Flex. I don't want to say too much more on that. I'm sure you catch my drift. Here's Fat Frank. I know this. Seattle definitely looked like the final boss of the NFL for next season. Frank, it moves quick, bro. I wouldn't say that too quick. Eagles looked like the final boss, didn't they, for this year? They weren't. Let's see what they look like. All right, let's see what they look like. Good defensive game in the first half. Yeah, it was. Here's Reyes. What's up, Reyes? I saw you message me. By the way, the Discord stuff, I had to delete my Discord account because I couldn't get into it because it was attached to my old email, and I no longer have access to that email. It was like one of those emails you had to pay for. It wasn't like a normal Gmail or something. So I no longer have a Discord. So I'm not in our Discord anymore. Flex, if you want to send me the link, I'll make it, or maybe we'll make a JAKIB one. I don't really know. I was just telling you guys I'm not in there anymore. But Reyes, before I deleted my Discord and got booted out, I did see your message about the rosaries. I hope you love them. They are pretty awesome. I watched my sisters hand make your rosaries. They literally they brought them to me and said, "This is for Mike Reyes from your channel." I'm like, I love fucking M. Reyes. I'm happy he ordered them. Shout out to him for supporting my sisters. He reached out. By the way, somebody's in here going to be like, "Oh, that's Zander to get me a rosary." Reyes actually took initiative. All right. He reached out to them himself. So he got them, and it was pretty sick. And Reyes, they looked awesome before they shipped them. So I hope you enjoy them, bro. He says, maybe Sills was right. Coaches who are players don't know shit about coaching sometimes. Hashtag Vrabel. Yeah, he didn't coach a very good game. All right. Here's Rice. They're amazing, Z. The quality is fantastic. Handmade, Rice. Every fucking link in them. Sorry, I shouldn't use the F word when talking about rosaries. But every link, dude. They literally put every link together. So pretty amazing. Pretty amazing for them. So thanks for supporting, dude. Thanks for supporting them. It's pretty cool of you. All right. Let's see. Prince says the game sucked. Yeah, it did. It did suck. It did suck. Gonzalez is that dude is a freaking beast. Christian Gonzalez. That dude is always in the right position. I mean, he can get beat, but because he's in the right position, he can make the play. It's pretty amazing. So pretty amazing. Here's Flex. Your secrets are always safe with me. Thanks, Flex. I appreciate it. I'm happy you picked up what I was putting down. I don't think everybody did. All right. Dan called it. He said it'd be close and Seattle would pull away. Yeah, I gave a little too much credit to the Pats. I thought the Pats were going to hang in there. I thought they were going to win because, I don't know, I just didn't buy the Seahawks hype enough. I didn't want to buy it, so I didn't. But the Seahawks were the better team, and they played better, and they won the football game, you know. So I thought the Pats were going to be – I thought Drake – you know, I'm a Drake May guy. I'm not afraid to say that, even after a tough performance by him on the Super Bowl stage. I think he's got a bright future. He's a young player, and I think his skill set is, you know, what you want when it comes to being an NFL quarterback. He's got a lot of work to do, a lot of progress to make. But I thought they were going to be better, man. I thought he was going to perform better. Who else was holding? Yeah, catch, especially early when Darnold came out and started throwing into tight windows. And I'm like, it looks good now, you know, and the throws made it through as well, or they made it through and they look good for now. But It felt like New England was getting close to getting them. Oh, dude, the Pats O-line was terrible in the game. They were so overwhelmed, Twiz. So true. So true. So May started seeing ghost. I agree, Twiz. The classic Darnold phrase actually applied to Drake May. I'm seeing ghost out there. Remember when Darnold said that on the sideline? I think he was with the Jets at the time. So, good game. Seahawks are champs. So, Eagles are no longer the top dogs. By the way, it's like the win this weekend, I mentioned it a second ago, was so insane. It was like minus 20 degrees where I am. With the wind, like 40-mile-an-hour wind gusts this weekend. Right now, it just feels like 11. It's supposed to get lower. It's been pretty frosty out here, and here's my ass drink. I got a Wawa this morning. I don't have a Dunkin' near me. I'm obviously not in my main studio. I got a Wawa. I actually got a Wawa XL, but then I poured it into this cup of ice. So I got XL with no ice in it, so I can maximize my coffee content. I don't know why it's not working with the green screen. This is a 44-ouncer, no ice in it, so I can maximize how much I got. And then I get a cup of ice, and I can restock the cup of ice. That's a lot of coffee this morning. But the Wawa coffee doesn't hit me like the Dunkin' coffee hits me. Jeff, I just talked about this for like 10 minutes. Jeff Nazi, what did you think of Hurts being presented with the legend? Saw some hilarious tweets. I didn't see any tweets about it. I didn't really give a shit what the tweets are about it. I thought it was dope. That's what I thought. I thought it was sick for him. I thought it's cool to see, again, I'll be critical of Hurts a lot. And I know some people get mad at me for it. Some people say I give him too much credit. I don't know. People want to hear what they want to hear. That's the truth. I thought it was a cool moment for him. I mean, it's cool to think about everything he's accomplished. It's cool to think about what he's gone through, where he's gotten in his career. I just talked about it for 10 minutes. If you want to watch it, you can rewind this just a little bit. I talked about it, but I thought it was pretty awesome, dude. Honestly, I really did. I mean, to be called out and like introduced in that light with the type of names that were being introduced there. I mean, that was like that almost felt like a Hall of Fame walk of players. Like literally, that's like what it felt like, a Hall of Fame walk of players. And Jalen was right there. So I thought it was pretty sick, Jeff's actually. Cool to see, man. Cool representation of the Eagles franchise up there, Something the Eagles fans have been wanting for a long time, man, is a Super Bowl quarterback that's, that's talked about like that. That's pretty sick. Now, big year ahead. We'll see what happens, but I do think it was pretty sick for sure. But all right, guys, appreciate all you guys being here today. Don't forget to hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I mentioned during the show the JAKIB Clips channel. That thing's growing actually pretty good right now. I had one guy comment. He's like, "Oh, you have 12 views." I'm like, I made the channel a fucking week ago, dickhead. But anyway, some of the videos have started to get views. It's been good. I'm excited. I hope that channel grows because, I do, as much as I love our style of content, it's hard to distribute it at the level that, most content is today because it's all long form live streams. So this is like taking like 10, 12, 8, 14, between like 8 and 14 minute clips of the shows and just posting it up. I'm going to start to get shorts posted up again there too. But I had to change my structure around a little bit, so I don't have them right now. But so the Clips channel is growing. If you want to guys go check it out. If you don't want to watch clips, please don't go subscribe to the channel. You'll just hurt the channel. So if you get subscribers on a channel and they just subscribe because they're friends with you or they like you, but they never watch the content, it actually hurts your channel. So if you don't watch the content, then don't fucking subscribe. Okay. I don't need you to. Your being here is good enough. It's all good. All right. So we're growing out that. Big Mike, how was pre-K? Big Mike, it was effing awesome, dude. I absolutely loved it, Big Mike. It was really awesome. Really, really awesome. I really enjoyed it, Big Mike. I really did. I thought it was pretty awesome to think about some of that stuff. Big Mike, to engage in that with my fiance was awesome. To be able to talk through it, think about everything. I mean, it's pretty cool. We got our leader. Big Mike, it did. And I, Big Mike, I don't want to sound conceited, but I try and have an open mind in terms of thinking about some of the big picture stuff. So I didn't not think about any of the things that we talked about there. Like I've been thinking about them. I understand it's real life. It's not vanity bullshit, but it was really cool to talk about it, get deeper in some of it. And then our leader, Big Mike, like the leader of our class, I guess you could call it. They were an older couple. They've been married 51 years, which is pretty amazing. 51 years, but they were awesome. Bob and Michelle. So it was really good. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot, man. So yeah, Catch. It's kind of my purpose, Catch. Because I already do the long forms, Catch. Like we'll always post out the long forms. So if Cilio has a 30-minute interview, we always post out the long forms. That's pretty normal. We're not going to change anything about that. That's, in a way, that's our bread and butter in terms of, revenue for the channel. So it is a business, folks. I got to pay John. I got to pay Dan. I got to pay, I got to pay people. So I do have to generate money. So the long forms are for that. The clips is more for audience building, finding more audience. So appreciate you guys. All right, guys. Love all you guys. Hit the like button. Super Bowl in the rear view. Eagles are no longer the reigning defending Super Bowl champions of the world. That is the Seattle Seahawks. And now the climb to the top of the mountain begins once again. Love all you guys. Hit that like button. Appreciate you being here today. See you next time, everybody.
EAGLES. Eagles.